So yeah, you guys found me.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
Where is Kristen?
I'm right here.
Where were you?
On this balcony.
Where did you come from?
So just recently, I went to Brazil, Argentina, and Chile. And the idea was to just go to the mountains of Patagonia. And a friend told me that I was going around the time of Carnival, so I was like, maybe
fun.
I'll just squeeze the little party into my backpacking trip. That's exactly what I did. And so I did 3 days at Carnival, exploring Rio, riding bike on the beaches, and just going to like Sugarloaf Mountain, Christ the Redeemer, just like really touristy attractions, but like stuff you get into for 3 days somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I flew to Argentina, started in Buenos Aires, so had a little bit of a big city moment again. And then 3 days there, went straight to the mountains, and that was like what the trip was about.
That's crazy.
Probably the craziest view is in the like Chile mountains, right?
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
Like out of control. Do you guys know the logo Patagonia?
Okay, yeah, and I know about the brand, yeah.
You know the logo though, how there's like mountains and then there's one really tall mountain and then more mountains?
Okay.
I went to that tall mountain.
Did you climb the mountain?
No.
Oh, that's next
not
level.
that crazy.
That's next level.
How'd you get there? Helicopter?
No, so it ended up being like a 12-hour hike, which wasn't in the itinerary.
Okay.
It's like a lot longer than anticipated, and I kind of did like a different route than like most people take. So it was really interesting, but started really early in the day, not like sunrise or anything early, but like 8 a.m. we were at the trailhead. And then ended up doing like 6 hours in to the top actually, and then I spent like maybe an hour and a half just taking pictures, taking videos. And on the way down, the sun's obviously going down too, and we're like, I don't know how long it is to get back. Like we started in a completely different spot. Ended up taking like maybe 6 to 7 hours to get back, and by the time we got back it was like just dark out.
So wait, 13-hour hike, like
12, 13, yeah. Yeah, it was a long day.
Oh my God.
Really long day.
That's the workout.
Yeah. Oh, it was a hardcore workout, let me tell you.
That's crazy. I asked you, like, where'd you come from? And you named 3 places that people probably don't even go to that many vacations or places in a whole year.
Yeah.
That's where you just came from. So I guess let's just take it back, like, when it comes to traveling. How did you get into that? Like, I remember we went to high school, so that I guess people know. I know you're from high school. We had a couple classes together.
Yeah.
I remember we had science class together. I have no idea what the guy or the woman teacher's name was, but I remember it was biology, maybe.
I don't remember. You know we're going on 10 years now?
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's getting crazy.
Don't make me remember
But
names.
let's talk about that. So after high school, where did life take you? And how did you get into so much traveling? Because you're living the life that I want to live. And many people out there want to live, so please.
Yeah, I mean, I've always just kind of had this mindset of just wanting to go to the next place. I don't really know where it came from, because growing up, I didn't really travel much. I did go out of the country like maybe a handful of times with family on cruises or like one big trip, but never anything like what I do these days. And I guess like the big part of it all, the one that sparked it, was after high school. I went straight to college. I went right here to Miami-Dade, and I did a full year there. On my second year, I just kind of had some thoughts. You know, I was in college for marine biology, which is still a huge passion of mine. But I just really started thinking about like where the money was going to come from to, you know, complete however many years I needed to go into this career path, and then however many years that career path was going to take me to actually be successful or to actually get anywhere. So I had a lot of those thoughts, and in the meantime, I had the opportunity to go on a quick trip. It was a week-long trip to Costa Rica, and at the time, my stepbrothers were visiting here, and they told me about the trip, and they said, hey, if you're not doing anything, like, come join us. I was like, well, all I have is school.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing, just joking around, and something happened to where I ended up not going to my first day of college, my second year, rather, and I called up my stepbrother, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Can I meet you guys? They were there for like a whole month, so it wasn't like I didn't have time, you know. Like I could have been. It was towards the beginning of their trip that they told me about it, and it was all within like a week's moment that I was like, all right, I'm gonna book a flight. lo and behold, it was like a 200 round trip flight for like a 19-year-old, 18, 19-year-old. That was like gold. And I was working a job as well, like down in Coconut Grove. So I was like, easy money.
Yeah.
And the accommodations are paid even easier.
You would think it's way more.
You would think. And that's kind of how I grew up. I was like, travel is it's so far. Like, I can't even fathom the idea of going to multiple places, let alone one.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I started seeing like how accessible it was, that trip was honestly like, it was real eye-opener, because when I got there, I got like a whole list of things to do from the moment I stepped off the plane to the moment I get to the Airbnb. It was really detailed. Like, I still thank my stepbrother today. I'm like, you should write a blog or something, because
That's
it was
awesome.
like
A full itinerary.
Yeah, so walk out of the airport, get into a taxi, go to this specific bus terminal, get on this specific bus at this time.
And you were alone? You pulled up alone and did all that?
Pulled up alone, and let me tell you, as detailed as
scary,
it was,
right?
I messed it up, and it was even scarier. It was
really
so scary. I ended up going to the wrong bus terminal. The bus that went to that location was still at that terminal, but got there like 3 hours later, and I didn't have any cell signal. So it's not like I can be like, hey, Mom, Dad, I made it, or hey, guys, like, if I'm at this bus terminal, how do I get there? So it was one of those things that, like, just kind of learn to depend on yourself, and you learn really fast.
Yeah.
If you don't, like, you're stuck,
But are you, like, not freaking out? Like, you're alone in a country you don't know.
Well, I also speak Spanish, so it was kind of easy to just be like, all right, so
I got you.
Clearly I messed up here. Like, how do I get to this area today?
Bro, I can't imagine going to China, being lost, and not knowing how to speak Chinese.
That would be really different.
That is scary, man.
Yeah, so...
Like, you've seen Taken, like...
Yeah.
That's what I think about. Like, you just show up somewhere.
My parents remind me of that movie all the time, and other movies, and like real stories. And I'm just like, okay, guys, like I know it is scary, and I like to say that I always have my own back, or if I'm traveling with others, like we always have each other's. But there's just that simple. Like we're so sheltered here. Like we feel so good. We have our belongings. We have our home. But when you're out there, you got nothing. You got what's on your back and, like, your quick wit, and that is it. So, I mean, I've been lucky.
For sure.
I'm gonna knock on some wood. Maybe after
That's
this.
kind of like...
Yeah, it's wood.
I've been lucky enough not to be in, like, dangerous situations like that.
Okay.
And if I get sketched out, I kind of play the scenario, and I try to be as cool and calm and collected as possible. But, like, I can honestly say I've never been, like, terrified for my life traveling abroad.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it might be lucky because I have some friends that, have traveled less and have more stories like that. But I don't know, maybe it's the way I plan my trips, or just where I decide to stay makes a difference. But I'm going to just...
Well, shout out to you, because, it's like... I feel like girls your age going to places, traveling alone is kind of scary. But at the same time, like you said, I mean, you just have to do it. You can't just live sheltered your whole life, especially if you're going to be traveling so much.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to just have faith and have fun and just hope for the best. And then also just have your own back and not be lost and drunk and stupid. Just be lost.
Yeah, exactly. No, like those are huge factors as well. Like, I don't want it to go without saying, like, I do have fun when I travel. I make friends, like, at the accommodations that I'm at, or I'm with friends from the start, and we go out drinking, and, some nights get a little crazier than some, but, like, there's always a plan to get home. There's always, like, just a safe route, no matter, like, I mean, you know that moment when you gotta, like, get into gear, like, you've had a little too much, but, like, that one moment where you're like...
It wakes you up. Wow, you're ready.
Okay. We're getting there.
Yeah. So how'd you get back to, I guess, your stepbrother? You said you got lost, and then you had no signal, and you were lost in Costa Rica.
So, I mean, I still had the list of, like, things to do to get to this place. So I just followed the list. It just took me a lot longer because I took a later bus, and that bus ended up having, like, a little stop, like a layover, if you will. So it just took a lot longer. Everyone was panicky. As soon as I got there, I ended up getting there like around midnight, landing at like maybe noon or 1. It was like quite a journey.
Oh my God, they were freaking out.
Yeah. At the time, my mom answered the phone as soon as I got there. I had to call her. She answered crying.
Oh no.
She was like, I thought this was the moment that we've talked about. They took you. It's done.
Yeah.
I'll never see you again. This was awful, awful, awful. I just want you to come home. I was like, well, I got 1 more week.
I got another trip after
one
this.
more week before you scream more.
This is only the
scream at me a little more.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I made it. And that was one of those, like, those huge defining moments. Like, even though I didn't follow the exact plan, which plans fall apart all the time.
Nothing
all
goes
the
to
time.
plan.
Just
Nothing.
adjust.
Yeah.
Just adjust.
And just adjust. And I was able to manage. I actually met a friend on the bus who actually shared a taxi to get to the spot from, like, where the bus actually dropped us off, because it drops you off at a bus terminal. No one was waiting for me because I was like 4 hours late.
Mm-hmm. And this was your first like trip that you...
First trip by myself out of the country.
Yeah.
This is it. So as soon as I get to the address, the door that I'm supposed to walk into, there's a sign on it that says, "Hey Kristen, so glad you made it. If you're here and we're not, we're at the bar like right across the street, but we're probably back, so just knock and come right in."
Yeah.
So I just knocked, they answered, and they were like, "Kristen!" Like,
You're alive.
This moment of like pure joy. I was like, oh my gosh, this feels good to finally be like in a place that I'm safe, I'm comfortable, I'm with people that I know. Like, it's always a good feeling, you know?
Definitely.
Like, it's cool being uncomfortable, and it's cool like being in that travel mode, but it's so nice getting back to like that safe space.
Yeah.
You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
At the end of it all.
Into welcoming arms and people that you know after that crazy adventure you just went on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then Costa Rica, like, I've heard it's beautiful. Like, it's literally in the name. But
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But it was definitely a trip of a lifetime, because once I got there, just things started like just rolling downhill, and it was not downhill literally. Like, things were great, but it was just like a snowball effect almost. Like, things were just getting better and better and better and better. Like, surfing every morning, every night.
Wow.
They were surfers, so they brought their own boards. They brought some other stuff from California as well. And we went surfing every morning, every night. And since I was like one of the latecomers, they were already traveling with 2 of their buddies. So it's twins. My stepbrothers are twins.
Okay.
They were traveling with 2 of their buddies who were already crashing on a couch and I guess spare bedroom at the time. And then one of my stepbrothers had his girlfriend, and then the other one had his wife with their daughter. It was a packed house. You guys want to know where I slept?
I mean,
I slept on a balcony,
floor, I guess.
just like this.
on the balcony outside?
Yeah, on a hammock.
Were there like bugs or
On a
like
hammock.
bugs?
on a hammock.
were
Not
there-
too many bugs that I remember.
Cool.
What's crazy out there though? Lots of monkeys.
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 Lots
That's
of
worse than bugs.
That's
crazy. If
Lots
a
of
monkey pulls up
monkeys.
on you in Costa Rica.
Yeah, no, luckily
kinda-
none of them like pulled up super close, but you could see them like just chilling
Wow.
on the wire,
Yeah.
on like the telephone wire, like across the street. You could hear them howling at night and stuff like that.
And this is where you slept.
This is where I slept.
That's literally
That's cool.
not America.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like, we're definitely not in the
Yeah.
U.S. anymore. Like, that was my first experience, and you adapt. Like you guys said, it was one of those things. I knew I came in late, you know, and I'm not in any position to be like,
You
hey,
got the last
let me
spot.
get the couch.
Yeah.
You know, so last spot it was, and it ended up being the coolest spot.
I would imagine a hammock in Costa
Yeah.
Rica, like that's a story to tell.
I was super blessed with the good weather, and I woke up with the sun. Like, as soon as the sun came over the trees that were right in front, because
Yeah.
we were like walking distance to the beach.
Oh.
And as soon as the sun just came over, like, my eyes opened, and I was the first one out there. Everyone else was sleeping in their nice dark rooms.
Is that
and I
where
was
you
like,
slept for the whole week? Like,
Yeah.
whole 7 days? Damn. Was
That
it ever
was it.
tough, like, waking up with a hangover on the hammock with the sun
No,
hitting you?
I mean,
How'd I get in the hammock?
I gotta be honest, I mean, we drank quite a bit, but, like, I didn't really wake up with a hangover. It was
That's
just,
good.
like,
Yeah.
awesome every day. It was almost like that energy of just being somewhere brand new, of just wanting to do something every single day, every minute of that day, so you don't miss any of the good parts. Like that's the kind of energy I was riding.
Yeah. So you did
That's
surfing.
awesome.
What else is there to see in Costa
So
Rica?
surfing was just an everyday thing, but there's so much. I mean, we hit the jungle quite a bit. We rented these ATVs because like where we were staying was on dirt roads.
Okay.
So they did have a car to get us back to the airport, like eventually, because I came towards the end of the trip now. And the ATVs just got us around locally. So we each had one. We were racing down the beaches. I mean, just having a great time doing that.
Yeah.
We went to the jungle one day and did zip lining. I mean, a lot of firsts for me.
Yeah.
Like I had surfed before, but zip lining, ATVing on a beach, like I don't know where else to do that.
Yeah.
At least not here in the U.S. is that
No.
easily accessible. So that was new for me. And then just exploring like a lot of unique, like just surrounding places. Like we can get into this story like a little bit later, but there was like a lighthouse, and we decided to check this out at night of all times with a legend behind it that was like, you know, there's an old man that kind of haunts the area, and he has like, you know, hounds surrounding the property so that no trespassers can get in. And we're like, oh, let's check it out.
Okay.
You know, like
Yeah.
it sounds fun. But turns out the legend is real. The guy is there.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Just in case we don't get into
With
that story
dogs.
later. With the dogs, like it ended up really freaking us out. We like
Wait, did you meet him or you like ran?
no, he just started screaming at us after the
Screaming?
dog started.
Oh, no.
Like it was a really crazy moment because the dog started going off,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
he like
Sounds fucked
he
up.
made like a noise, and the dog
Wow.
stopped. The dogs just stopped barking at us, stopped like charging us. They just all stopped, and then he just screamed like, "Get out of here!" So we just had to, we just went the other way.
So that's where the
a bad
legend
idea.
No more lighthouse.
Yeah, no more lighthouse.
Yeah.
Then there was another moment on that trip. I mean, we packed quite a bit into it, but another moment where we went to like a carnival, and this is like the weirdest kind of carnival I've ever been to. There was
Okay.
like a bull riding or like a bull pin, where everyone was just kind of being a spectator, and there were people like right along the fence.
Okay.
And some people were walking in. The guys I was with, they got in there too,
Like a real bull.
like a real bull, but the bull wasn't in the pin yet.
Okay.
So people were just kind of going in. The bull
Did you
gets
guys
let out.
know that?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I
Oh,
didn't
you
at
guys
the
were
time.
ready for
And the
this.
guys I was
I don't
with,
think I would've walked
they
in
didn't
there.
know at the time, but everyone that
Wow,
was in there at the
okay.
moment knew this was gonna happen. And then the 4 guys that I was with, they went in there. And I
Yeah.
was just staying back with like the other girls, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So they like hit a bell, and the door opens. Bull comes out, and he's like stunned. He sees
Yeah.
so many people in the pen, and he's like just looking around like,
Yeah.
what kind of game is this, you
Uh-huh.
know? Then he just starts kind of like prancing around, like it doesn't feel scary, but retrospect, like this should be really scary.
No,
you know,
that
how are they letting
sounds
people do
that
this?
sounds really scary. Did it have horns? Like,
Yeah,
was
oh
it
yeah.
Was
And then
it aggressive?
started,
Did it come out of the gate like
Yeah.
hot? Like,
No, it didn't come out hot.
Uh-huh.
It came out confused.
Okay.
And then as soon as it started to realize like people are
trip.
moving,
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
it wanted to like start charging.
Yeah.
So there were like small holes in the gate where people could get out, but not the bull. So these people were like kind of taunting the bull. Looking back, it's kind of awful.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie to
yeah.
you. But just this is the moment we caught ourselves in, like just
Uh-huh.
going to a carnival. Looked like a little kids carnival too.
Yeah.
And then
Did anyone
this
have to sign like
disappears.
papers for this? Or?
No.
No.
Oh.
Good
What
thing you
is-
weren't wearing
what
that
is that?
shirt.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. Oh man, I would have been the first to go. But anyways,
I've
it
never
ended up
heard
being
something like that. Don't-
Like,
I've only heard of that in Spain. I
In
think.
Spain,
Yeah.
I know they do the running of the bulls.
Yeah.
They do that thing, and
how dangerous is that?
That's
Yeah, it's-
that's super dangerous. I would
I
never.
know.
It's scary.
yeah,
In Costa Rica,
And
they,
People like
they do
when
it
the
for fun.
when the bull hits people, they go flying.
Yeah,
people die.
yeah.
They
Oh,
look
yeah.
like dolls,
Yeah.
like lifeless dolls,
Yep.
and get smacked on the floor. Like, I'm good. Like, I'd rather not.
And we're out here just thinking that it's all a game, and I
Yeah.
ended up stepping in like once or twice,
Uh-huh. Did it go after you or no?
but no,
Oh, okay.
no. We just
You're
kind of
just
like,
like, I'm close
just
enough.
Like, I did it. All right, I'm out.
Yeah. Scary.
Kind of thing. But those were like just the random events that kind of made up that trip, and it was just like this now happened like about 10 years ago as well.
Okay.
It was just right out of college, right out of high school, because I did everything pretty consecutively, so it was within months apart. So I'm gonna say like 9 years, but
Yeah.
it it was just so unreal.
Yeah.
So unreal.
And refreshing, like to get away, to experience something new, and then to come back.
It opened me up. It
Yeah.
opened me up to like just that world that I just surrounded myself with.
Definitely.
When
I
you
just
went to
loved.
Costa Rica, did you decide that you weren't going back to school, or you were thinking like I'm gonna take a break and then come back, or like?
Yeah, I think the idea was to break first. That was the answer that made my parents happy, and that was the answer that like I told myself
Yeah,
to kind of feel better about
to take a year off.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I'm assuming
to
that's
feel
what I'd
better.
say, yeah.
You know, I guess because it was just not what everyone was doing.
Well, school is pretty I don't know. I feel like when you go to school from pre-kindergarten until 12th grade, it's nice to get a year off and just relax or work. But that same cycle of from 12th grade to your first year in college it was just, I don't know. If it wasn't for baseball, I would have taken that year off like right out of high school, like you did.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is tough to go from such a structured lifestyle to like just complete chaos. But it's kind of epic. Like, I don't know.
How did you?
I enjoy it.
So when you got back to Miami, how did you feel? Were you sad, or did you have like post-trip depression, or did you book your
Well.
next trip right away?
It's kind of crazy
Did
what I
you
did
start
next.
working? Like, how did that work?
So I went back to work because I was working throughout all of this. I got a job before college, so right out of high school. I was even working in high school, but not this particular
What was it that
job.
you were doing?
I was actually working at a restaurant in Coconut Grove called Duffy's
Oh, nice.
when I used to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
back there. So it was awesome. And, you know, hostess position, they let you take days off here and there. Like, that's a super, you know, replaceable position, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, like, I started thinking about it. I started, you know, trying smaller trips. And then I had my best friend, who we went to high school with, Lely Hernandez. She moved to LA pursuing her career. And at the time, we just had, like, conversations, like, you should move out, or, yeah, I should move out. Like, that would be really cool. I've always loved the idea of California and LA. I mean, like, it's always piqued my interest.
Oh, you're talking about move out, as in move out to LA.
Yeah,
Not
oh,
just.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, big
Yeah.
move. Other
Yeah.
side of the
Yeah.
country.
So
move.
that was the next step.
Oh shit.
That's what you
Okay.
did.
That's what I did.
No way.
That same year
That same year.
No
Just
plan,
A
just-
couple months after.
Figure it out over there.
Yeah.
to live.
Yeah.
How did your like mom react to that? Since
Hell
since
no.
going to
You're
Costa
not
Rica
going.
was a little bit much.
Initially, she didn't like it, but Lely being over there helped the situation a lot. It was like, you know, she's already got an apartment. She's got a job. Like, obviously, the apartment would be open to me, but I need my own job. I need money to supplement the lifestyle that I would have over there, which I didn't have organized. That was
Yeah.
the scary part. I did have some money saved up, so I was able to work with it, and I decided to do like an epic road trip on the way to kind of like make that a trip all on its own.
Wow. Okay.
Might as well.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
instead of just driving from Miami
Yeah.
to Los Angeles, I drove from Miami to New York to Los Angeles.
No way.
Yeah.
You took the long way.
By yourself?
Yeah, no, that was with my mom.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So she helped me
Nice.
move, and at the time I had a small car. I had a Mustang convertible.
You did that road trip in a Mustang
Yeah.
convertible? No
Yeah, I
way.
did.
How were you able to pack all your stuff?
It was a really, really tight
Wow.
fit.
Yeah.
But I made it work. The biggest piece of my life that had to come with me was my surfboard. That was a tough fit, I'll tell you.
That fits in a Mustang?
Yeah, that sounds impossible.
it did.
Was it on the roof?
No, I put it on the inside, so it was like it was
What?
basically sitting like in between the two front seats.
You couldn't buy a
all the way to
surfboard
the
in
end.
Cali? I mean,
I ended up buying a surfboard in
course.
Cali also,
Uh-huh.
but this surfboard was like, it was coming with me.
Yeah.
You know, it was joining me on
It has sentimental
on this
value
whole
to you.
journey. Yeah, it really did.
Yeah.
So
not
it was
to
coming.
completely drift away from your road trip, but
Yeah.
like, what got you into surfing? Being from Miami, were you born and raised in Miami?
I
First of all?
was, I
So
was.
how did you get into surfing or learn how to surf? You know, like being from Miami.
Yeah, that's a valid question. So Miami, not big on surfing, although I do catch some surfers now at South Point or, you know, even up by me and like the Hollywood all over even area. But my dad, when I was younger, moved from like the Broward County area, which is the county just after Miami-Dade. He ended up moving about an hour away, so a place called Stewart. And Stewart Beach is pretty consistent with decent waves. And not only that, I mean, Stewart and even a little lower and just further above is like amazing waves.
Really?
Like even some of the best surfers from, I mean,
I don't think I've
from
ever
this
seen a
lifetime
surfer.
end up come from Florida.
Yeah, being from Miami, I've never seen someone actually surf.
I
a
only
wave.
thought you can surf on the West Coast.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of places to be able to surf, and Florida, just a little further north, is a hot spot.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I gotta
Would
try
have never
it.
known.
So that's where I got my first couple lessons. It was very minimal because I ended up like kind of picking it up afterwards on my own. So it was like 2 lessons, and it was like on the beach, and maybe 1 or 2 times that I got in the water with an instructor. And then after that, I got my first board, which is called a foam board. So it makes it really easy to stand up on. And I was tiny, you know, I was a little thing, like barely pushing 100 pounds when I started. So this board was like,
How
it was
old
gonna
were you?
keep me up no matter what.
Yeah.
When I first started, I must have been like 11 or 12.
Nice.
So still just very tiny and easy to kind of catch my balance. And that board was perfect, and those waves were perfect. And I picked it up quite easily, but it was really like a couple of times that I was able to go surfing while I was up there. Like
I would have
a handful
never known
in the
there
year.
was waves in Florida. I didn't.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
thought that was a more like West Coast thing.
Yeah, you really like, you don't know it till you go somewhere and you see it here in Florida.
sure.
That sounds fun. I would like to try.
Yeah,
But
it's really fun.
I definitely
highly
have to
recommend
try.
it.
I've never tried.
I saw
It looks
some-
hard. It looks difficult.
It can be, but if waves are nice and easy and consistent and you're in nice shallow water, like it can be like a very nice beginning experience.
It's that-
You know what I mean?
I think of Johnny Tsunami and like the fucking.
Yeah, we're not
Giant
doing any of
waves.
those. Don't get me twisted.
But I saw someone that broke the record recently of like 100-something foot wave.
saw
That's
that
what I think
shit
about.
looks insane.
It looks like you're gonna die.
yeah, you can die.
I bet.
And like you'll never put that phrase and my name in the same sentence. Like you just won't. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't do anything like.
Mother Nature is
tenth of that
crazy.
size.
So you're like, there's people when a hurricane comes. I guess that's the only time I ever think of.
I've
Oh,
done-
yeah,
I've done
yeah.
hurricane surfing.
Yeah, you've
Wow.
done that?
Yeah, because that's when the waves get good, like here.
That's what I would
like
imagine,
south.
yeah.
But that's not the only time it gets good, and that's kind of dangerous. So I'm not. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say
Don't
to
do
do
that.
that. It's not the right thing, but it was definitely an experience because those waves like they come in hot.
Yeah, I bet.
They come in hot. for
Mother
sure.
Nature.
Yeah.
So when you planned out this road trip, did you like actually put a map on the table, or did you just like have places in mind and wrote a list?
So kind of like yes and no, because I knew that I-95, I'm sure you guys are familiar, took me all the way to New York. And I have family there, so
Damn,
the
I didn't
idea
know
was
that,
to,
that takes people
It
all
goes-
all
it goes
the
to
way.
New
It goes
York.
past.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
goes past.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, can
don't
you
even
ride
have
it
to
to
get off.
Canada? Or no?
I don't know.
I don't know that
I have
far.
no idea. But I know it stretches all of the East Coast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good road for sure. And I had family in New York, so the idea was to like kind of say hi to them and say bye all in the same trip, just because I knew I was gonna be out there for a good couple of months before I can, you know, get on my feet and like make money to actually just take a flight back or something when I want to visit. So it was gonna be like one of those moments, like I gotta pass by and just say bye. So I-95 was just a straight shot, and I knew that. My mom was the one
Oh,
that
there
was
was
like
no
the
stops
sourdough
on the
in it.
way from
You guys went straight from Miami
Well,
to
I
New
mean,
York.
gas stops, but
Yeah.
we did stop at 2 motels, I think in South Carolina, and I think South Carolina was the only one.
Okay.
How many
actually.
hours is it from
That's a
Miami
crazy
to New
trip.
York?
I've done it. Since then, I've done it, and it takes me like 18 hours consecutively.
That is
That's
crazy.
with dogs, though,
Wow.
so that's
Wow.
like potty trips,
Yeah.
you know? Like, it could have been faster, but,
For sure.
you know. And that trip, we ended up driving, like, the first 10 hours, I think, got us to South Carolina. And then after that, the next day, we had made it to New York by, like, midnight. So it was super late. And I think it was a weekday, too, because all the roads were empty. And oh, it's me and my mom, and we're in New York. Like, I haven't done that since I was a kid. Like, we haven't been in New York together in years at that point. So we dropped the top in the Mustang. We went for a ride through Times Square. We did the Lincoln Tunnel, just blasting Frank Sinatra.
Hey.
Like, we did it up.
You did the things.
You know, we did the things. And after that, the idea that I had planned out was catch Route 66 in Illinois, which is a couple states over.
Okay.
So just like Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana was like the spot that I wasn't familiar with. That's where like you have to jump on one expressway to another, and then you finally make it to
same.
Illinois.
I'm not too familiar with, like, I know New York, but everything to the left, all the way to Seattle, that middle area,
It's a blur.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a blur for a lot of people.
I don't know
I'll
what's
tell
a
you.
state there, a city, or I don't know.
Miami, you don't even really have to pay attention to any of that. If you stay down here,
Yeah, exactly.
the majority of your life, it never.
When I
even
do
pops
travel,
up.
I don't really travel in that area. I like to travel, like, you know, the Caribbeans to Europe or to New York, and, you know, maybe hopefully one day Cali.
Yeah.
But never up there. It's a weird.
It's a lot of people, but like a lot of people are like that. But I'll tell you, a lot of those states up there, they got something. They got more than something. Like some
Like-
of them are pretty
like
cool.
nature?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Is
Like-
Wyoming up there or no?
Yeah, but further west. I didn't even hit it on that.
Because I've
trip.
heard Wyoming is like beautiful.
Wyoming's different. That's beautiful. As far west as I went on that little top tier was to Illinois. And just up there, I went to some Indiana caverns on the way. We were just on an expressway, and I was like, pull over. We're doing this.
Uh-huh.
You know,
What is that? An Indiana cavern?
caverns are like caves. And I just wanted to
sick.
explore them. They were like right off the
Nice.
main expressway, and I was
Yeah.
like,
That's dope.
let's do it.
Yeah.
So just stuff like that. And then, you know, after years of hearing more about these states, like interacting with locals and people that have actually come from different parts of the state, they're telling me like national parks are insane up there. And then you start looking at pictures and you're like, oh, I should have hit that. You know, like these places, like they really have a lot to share. And they're just so overlooked. So everyone's like, oh, who hits that little like area right west
Yeah.
of New York? Like nobody even knows about it.
Yeah, like the Great Lakes area. Did you go there? Or
Not
no?
on that trip. Not on that trip, but it is beautiful. I could say that now. It is really
When you're in one of the
beautiful.
Great Lakes, does it kind of look like an ocean? I would
Yes.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to make jokes and like, I can see Canada from here, but you really can't. No
Where's
shot.
the Loch Ness monster? Where is that?
Oh
lake?
my god.
I
don't know what that is.
Just wondering. It might not even be in America. Or...
It is
No,
America.
I
No.
think
Oh, is it?
I
It's
think
in
it's America.
I think there's like a version of it that's here, and
Uh-huh.
then a version like from Europe, and maybe they're called different things. Like maybe ours is Bigfoot or something, and theirs is Loch Ness. I'm not sure how that
Yeah.
works, but I think I've heard something about like Washington being
Cool.
like the spot,
Yeah.
or maybe that's Sasquatch.
Oh,
I don't
that's.
know.
I heard that's where Twilight was
Yeah.
recorded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really
Alright.
beautiful place. Though.
Sorry, that was random. But
That is random.
If that's the only reason you know Washington State, you have
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
there
yeah.
for yourself. It's way
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
That's where Seattle is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what my brother says. He says good things about Seattle as well. He says it's beautiful.
it's gorgeous.
Have you been to Seattle?
Yes.
Of course.
Also,
Where
also
haven't
not
you
on
gone?
that trip.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So just to kind of give you guys some clarity, I have gone to 44 of the U.S. states.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
Wow.
I'm almost done.
44 of the U.S. states.
So which
44.
one did you like? I'm not going there.
No, it's not that I'm not going there. It's I'm going there very soon, actually, because I just need to complete it. Like, I just want to say, yeah, I've been off 50 years.
Definitely.
The ones that I'm missing is like the whole Northeast, like above New York, above Vermont. So like New Hampshire, even Massachusetts. I've never actually gone to Massachusetts. Like Maine. Those states up there I'm missing 4 of, and then I'm missing Arkansas.
When you say that
Random
you've been to
Arkansas.
44 states out of the 50, do you mean like you've driven by them, or you've actually like spent some time?
Some of them I've driven like pretty straight through. Mine is like maybe a lunch stop and a gas stop, and like maybe some quick pictures, like Oklahoma. No offense.
No offense, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't know what's in
but, like,
Oklahoma.
haven't done much there. Stuff like that, but others I've spent like maybe a week, maybe a couple days,
Yeah.
maybe a little longer, like California,
Definitely.
Pennsylvania I used to live in, Kentucky I used to live in, New York I used to live in. Like those are places that I spent a lot more time in.
I have so many questions for you when it comes to like just places.
Shoot.
But before asking all the questions, I wanna go into how you went from New York to Illinois on your way to Cali, because I'm very interested to know like what went down in Cali. How long were you there for? Did you get a job? Like so many, so many questions.
I keep getting sidetracked.
No,
So
it's my fault.
let me finish that one. So, I mean, it was just expressway to expressway until I got to Illinois, and then I made it to the famous Route 66.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't catch it at like the very start. The start of it is in Chicago. Ended up catching it like down in the southern part of Illinois. So for all the haters, they could say I never really did it, but I don't care.
Yeah.
So I started there, and then this is like one of the craziest routes in all the U.S., and I've done it one other time, and I will do it more.
What makes it the craziest? Is it like the?
It's just like the oldest road in the U.S. So once you clear like Missouri, and I think you go through Oklahoma as well. Once you clear those, once you finally get to like Texas, there's this awesome place in Amarillo, Texas, where you just hit the tip of the top Texas, and it's a place called Cadillac Ranch. That's like the start of the iconic Route 66. Like back in the day, some artists put like these old Cadillacs just completely vertical in the ground, and there's like maybe 8 or 9 of them in a row. You get there and you're just like, huh.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice
really
picture moment.
They had a Cadillac Ranch here in Miami in Town
really?
and Country, but that was a couple years ago. I think
didn't know
got
that.
replaced with I think Chef Adri's some restaurant. I don't know.
Wow, I
But
really
yeah,
didn't
it
know
was.
that.
It's called Cadillac Ranch, and they had a mechanical bull inside. I don't know if probably had to do with Texas.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe because I've never honestly heard of another Cadillac Ranch until you just mentioned that. So I feel like
okay.
it would have Texas tied into it, because that, if I'm not mistaken, it's pretty old. It's like from the 60s or 70s. That art piece, I
Yeah.
guess you will, if you will. So that's like the start of it. Once you keep going, you hit like New Mexico, then you go to like old looking towns, like the old Midwest. You start thinking cowboys, like coming out of saloons, like kicking the doors open.
They still have those out there.
Not exactly like that.
They
There
had a
are,
town like that in when I was in Arizona.
Yeah, so
had a small town
still
like that.
do, but it wasn't in New Mexico. They had like kind of off the Route 66, because now it's like new Route 66, and then they have like old Route 66 that you take little exits to. And we did one of the exits, and it was like an old town like that. And it kind of looked a little eerie, like it was a little abandoned, but still, it looked like you were stepping into the Wild West. It looked insane.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really
history
different.
is literally like what old countries, I mean, the old states used to operate.
Was because I guess this
Oh,
is
yeah.
just my imagination. Was the ground like orange kind of
yeah.
vibe, like
Oh,
desert? Wow.
It's desert.
Did you see like what do they call that? The big things that just like roll around in the wind?
Tumbleweeds.
Tumbleweed.
Yeah.
Did you see any?
Yep.
Are those
yeah.
real? Really?
They're real?
Oh, yeah,
Wow, cool.
super
Stop it.
real,
No
super
way.
real.
Wow.
It's no joke. No
I saw
joke.
in Arizona the cactus, but like the big ones, like the size of a tree.
Yep.
That
Yep.
tripped me out. I didn't know they were that big.
It's just so different to what we're
cartoons.
used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think cartoons, but like people that grew up over there, they're like, what's a beach like?
Definitely.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
we don't get it. We're so lucky to have the beach in my eyes, because this is also what I love. You know, I'll come back home to the beach any day. You know, and I'll chase the beach all over the world. But at the same time, I love mountains. I love the desert. I love insanely looking rock formations. I don't know why. I
Have
like
you
it.
been to Easter Island? I would
No,
love to go
but
to
that
Easter
would be
Island. What a
insane.
trip.
That's bucket list.
What a
Insane.
trip.
That is bucket list.
Yeah, yo, that place, what a
Yeah.
trip. I don't
Like,
know
how'd
what
they even
went
get
down there, but some shit went down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
How'd it happen? I'm just curious.
Yo. There's,
Sidetracked
it's
once again, but
trippy.
yes, that is gonna be in the works. In
Yo,
the
if
upcoming,
whenever
for
you
sure.
go to Easter Island, we gotta go. We're gonna record a pod with the big people.
Let's do
Yo,
it.
I would love that.
That'd be crazy, no
That'd
doubt.
be awesome. That could be really
Down.
cool.
So you get to California, or you're traveling down Route 66. You go through all these different towns. You see all these cool things.
Did you go to Texas from New York? Like, you went to New York, then Texas?
She said Illinois, and then down to...
So you kind of, like, the way the U.S. is kind of, like, positioned, you have Miami down here, New York up here. I kind of went like this to Illinois, and then kind of slowly started heading south and across. So that's how, like, if I were to draw it on a map right now, that's how it would look. And I'll tell you, like, New Mexico,
why I'm curious. Sorry, did you actually? Because I think it'd be fun. Like, did you actually draw this out on the map, or how did you envision this?
So,
did you like have the phone and you looked up like?
I knew Route 66 would take me straight there. So the idea was to get from New York to Illinois, and that was going to be the only, like, point that I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. I just had to get from there to there. And then after that was smooth sailing. But to answer your question, I did end up getting a map at the very first Crackle Barrel that we hit in South Carolina.
That's awesome.
And that was, like, the first big map that I ever had, and it was only of the U.S.
Yeah.
And I ended up, as we were going on this trip, just marking all the red points, like where we stopped.
Yeah.
All the red points, all the way to
Do you still have that map?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good memory. And, I mean, New Mexico, so starting from Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and Nevada were awesome. I mean, really, really cool states. We tried to make the most of it.
What part of Nevada did you visit?
Vegas.
Okay. You didn't say Vegas, so I'm like, she said Nevada.
Yeah.
What goes down in Nevada?
There's
other
only
than
one
Vegas?
thing to happen in
Yeah.
Nevada.
All right, just making sure.
And it was an awesome night out with my mom in Vegas.
Nice.
It was really cool.
Did you see any shows?
No, not so much. We did go out drinking. I forgot what we went to, like, a couple different bars. I forgot which ones. I know Fat Tuesdays was one of them. We stayed at a place called the Stratosphere, which was really cool. I booked it, like, same day. I was like, oh, if we're going, we're staying
Were
on the
there
strip.
Airbnbs at the time or just hotels?
You know, I don't even recall, but I know I booked a hotel. I know I was just going for a hotel. So that's exactly what we got. We got a really nice room for a super low rate, same day, and I was just like, this is working out great.
Yeah.
You know, thinking, like, nothing can go wrong. And I have so much stuff in my car, guys. Like, don't forget about that. An entire surfboard, all my stuff.
I was also thinking, like, your snow gear, just in case, like, all of that.
No snow gear.
Like coats for cold weather. You didn't have any of that?
I didn't take,
oh, damn.
I didn't take, like, anything heavy because LA, like, they don't get snow. You know, it gets chilly, but no snow. I did go to the mountains, like, just for a quick snowboarding trip, but it was, like, wasn't even that cold. I'll tell you.
Damn.
I'll tell you, it wasn't even that cold.
Okay. I can't relate.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. So
I don't do well with cold.
I've
never seen
like
snow,
Florida.
So.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to. It's
Same.
I would
magical.
love to.
I've never seen
I would
snow
love
either.
to.
You guys
but,
have to do a snowboarding trip or something. Get out of there.
That's why I'm, like,
the plan.
super jealous of you that you get to travel all these places. Like, I've only ever been up the East Coast, like, never gone west. So definitely I'm gonna be doing a lot of the things that I've went through your Instagram. Your Instagram is pretty crazy.
Yeah?
It's pretty
Your
ridiculous.
Cool, thanks for
Instagram,
A lot of
checking it
things
out.
you guys have done.
Your Instagram is amazing.
Thank you,
And
guys.
that goes with a lot of other questions I'm gonna get to, but again, like, okay, so we're in
Yeah, so
we're in Vegas.
We're in LA.
We're in Vegas. Oh, we got to LA.
This
okay.
is a kind of important moment because this is a moment where something happened, and it kind of, like, put a stop in the trip just for, like, a couple of hours. And
Flat tire?
No. Actually, like,
Okay.
nothing bad like that happened.
Nice.
Nothing.
Nice.
But so for the most part, I've been leaving, like, my surfboard and all the big stuff in the car every time we stop at, like, a hotel to stay for the night. We did this in, like, 4 days. I think Vegas was, like, our 4th day stopping somewhere.
Wow, that's way faster than I thought.
Yeah. Honestly, I've done it faster after that, but 4 days was
With
kind of cool.
experience, yeah.
Kind of nice. It was like 8 to 10 hours a day of driving and, like, on and off with someone else, so it wasn't awful. But Vegas, I was like, you know what? I'd feel better if, like, my surfboard came up to the room, if, like, you know, my big bag came in, like, my laptop, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought like this, but Bellhop helped me out. They got everything up to the room nice and safe. And then the next day, it's only for a night that I stay at a place, especially on this road trip. So the next day, Bellhop helps me bring everything down, and we keep things, like, down below for just a little bit. And for the first time, I wanted to try gambling. I was really into poker and I wanted to try it out. I made like $50 on a table for my first time, and it was pretty cool. But on our way out, we were getting our stuff, we were getting in the car, and I noticed that my board had been punctured on the bottom from like the bellhop cart. And I was like, no, like this is awful. This is gonna ruin it. This board was coming for me to ride it. Like it's not coming for show, and now it's broken. Like you guys broke it. And I was just kind of just being fussy and annoying, and at the end of the day, they did break one of my largest and most expensive possessions at the time, and the manager came out.
Wait, like, this was in Las Vegas?
This is in Las Vegas.
They're probably looking at you like they have no idea what this surfboard even is.
Yeah, no, they're looking at me. They're like, how much does it cost?
Bro.
Yeah.
And I'm here like looking online. I'm like, oh well, a brand new one looks like $800. They're like, we'll give you the $800 right now.
Nice.
Wow.
Just no reviews, no fuss, nothing.
Nice.
Yeah. We're gonna give it to you outright. I was like, okay. I just shut my mouth right then and there. They had just paid for pretty much all the gas that we spent from Miami to the point that we were at.
Thank God you brought your board.
And a lot of our accommodations. So,
I mean, it sucks that they broke it.
Yeah, but
did you still get to keep it?
Yeah, oh yeah, and it ended up being like a $15 fix.
Nice.
Damn.
Nice.
Like they bought me a new board, which was amazing of them, and thank you for that.
Hey,
but,
shout out.
Yeah, shout out to the Stratosphere. But I mean, they were amazing enough to like just not make it a bigger deal than it was. They were like, look, we did mess up. Yeah. We're gonna just replace it for you and call it a day. And it ended up not being like super, super deep, so it was an easy fix with like just some fiberglass that you kind of do on your own. So, anyways, from Vegas to California is like another maybe like 4 hours, and we were there.
Mm-hmm.
We had made it.
You made it.
Like right after. And we were like on a high too, because we were like, my God, we just made our money back. Yeah. We're like sitting pretty, and we are driving into California right now. And just coming up over the mountains, because in California, when you're driving from east to west, you come over like the mountains that block the whole city from basically everything in the east. So once you come over, you see the city, and you're just like, I finally made it.
Is the city like in a valley, or is it just...
Yeah, it kind of is. It's surrounded. Like when you're in the city, you could see the mountains in the distance. It looks really beautiful.
So the mountains are east of LA?
Yeah. East and then north.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure south as well. I think you're all surrounded.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful city. It's gorgeous to see for the first time, and it really kind of takes your breath away. You don't expect it.
Yeah.
You don't expect to see it like that, I don't know what I expected, but it just wasn't like a coming over the mountain and like just seeing a bunch of lights and just places in the distance, and you're like, oh my gosh, we made it. We're finally here. So, after we had that realization moment, it was like, the address is in my GPS. My new apartment is in my GPS. We're heading there, and we're like an hour out at this point from Miami. We're an hour out.
Damn.
So we finally get there. My best friend is there with welcoming arms, and we actually had 2 other roommates at the time, and it was tight because we had like a 2-bedroom apartment in Beverly Hills. It wasn't like Beverly Hills, it was Century City, which is just outside of Beverly Hills, and like between that and Santa Monica. Really awesome place.
Yeah.
Really awesome place to just have just kind of lay back. It wasn't like too city, it wasn't like too bougie or luxurious either. It was just like one of those spots. It was nice and clean and safe and just perfect. Just a perfect spot. My mom.
How long has she been living there?
She had been living there for probably like, I don't know, almost a year before I got there.
That's good. That's awesome. She already knows like what's up.
Yeah, she was kind of into it. She had already like I said, had a job. So she was already like moving around the city, getting familiar. She had made friends that, would take her out, and she learned like the places to go out and things like that. And she was pursuing acting, which she still is, and she's doing really well at it, I may add. But over there, she was at her start. And it was just amazing to be in that atmosphere with her as she was starting off, because like just the crowds we got put into was like out of control.
The crowds? What do you mean?
Out of control. Like we ended up going to a couple parties where you would recognize a lot of people from TV.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
talking about like you guys
LA,
were, like,
you would think that's more
well-connected.
normal. Like, there's
Yeah,
celebrities
it is.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
What I heard from LA is that a lot of times it's not really a late night crowd. It's more of because things close early, so it's more of like you got to know people to get invited to these parties.
Yeah, the house parties are the ones that really went late. There was like one club that went till like 4 a.m., but coming from Miami, you guys are probably like,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Like, which one is 24 hours?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
none.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so it was one of those things. It was a little bit of an adjustment, but at the same time, I enjoyed that lifestyle, but I was more of the outdoorsy friend.
So how many famous people did you meet out in your time over there in LA?
Unlimited.
It was a good couple. Really, really cool people,
You
though.
got some name drops or not? Nah.
Anonymous.
I would assume.
Yeah, let's save that, because I don't know. It was like a party environment, you know, and I don't want to put their lives out there. Like they got a reputation that they got to uphold, but
Some of them.
it was good names. It
That's
was really
awesome.
good people, like genuine people. You see these people on TV, and then you think like, I wonder what they're actually like. These people were kind of what I hoped they'd be like.
That's
That's
good.
Like
cool.
really nice and really welcoming.
You hear the opposite usually. Like the actors, like they're usually a little weird.
That's still the case sometimes, you know? That is still the case, and like I get it, you know? Like you go up to a person and you act like you know them, like
Well, Kevin Hart said it
They're gonna
best.
put off.
He was this was a while ago. He was on a interview or a podcast with Joe Rogan, and he's like, it just sucks sometimes because as a comedian, like when you're a comedian and you see somebody in public, they expect you to be a comedian, but like I'm not funny all the time. Like I'm just a person. Like,
yeah, no, that makes total
I'm
sense.
not gonna make jokes
Yeah.
out here. Like
It makes total sense, and like same thing applies. You know, like they are just people. They may have, you know, like I said, a huge reputation and a large number of people that know them, but they're just individuals living their own lives, and a lot of them don't even want like that exposure when it comes to them being just in their personal environments.
Speaking of exposure, I got a question when it comes to you being in those parties. Like, for example, since I'm guessing there's a lot of celebrities and well-known people, is it a mix of those type of people and then normal people to where, like, you're not allowed to have your phone out, or it's more of, like, no one cares, everyone's having fun? If you post about this person being here, like, it's fine.
I've gone to some parties where I had to leave the phone in the car. Others are pretty cool and laid back about it, but for the most part, like, you just gotta respect. You know, like they aren't there to be on your camera. You know, like they don't want anything in their face or. You know,
I
anything
asked
said that
because
they're
people
just not ready
from
for.
like LA a lot of times, like, I was lucky enough to be booked for it's like a game show that was in St. Lucia. This was years ago.
Oh, I remember seeing that on your post.
It was an amazing trip. But
That is awesome.
No, it was one of the best trips I've ever had. But the point of that was that it was just me and my friend from Miami, and the rest of the casting was from LA. So I got to meet a lot of people from LA and living that like actor lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my boy, like, we weren't really actors. We were just in it for, like, it's a free trip to St. Lucia if we get chosen. Luckily, we got chosen. But these guys, like, and girls, they're super into social media and they're super into making it into that lifestyle. So that's why I wonder, like, I don't know, like, how they, I guess you have to put your phone in the car, or how do they not put their phone out and start, like, showing everyone what they're doing? Because that's the vibe in LA is, like, look what I'm doing, look who I'm with, stuff like that.
Also, there are people that do that, don't get me wrong. And there's actually, like, people that'll walk around with, like, their posse that is ready to do that for them. You know what I mean? But, like, just kind of going into that, like, even for me, I would love to go through all my pictures and be like, yeah, this is one, this is one, this is one, this is one. But fact of the matter is like, the experience was more valuable than anything. And I didn't want to ruin it with, like, a moment where I had to stop what was going on and be like, let's take a picture real quick, or let's take a video real quick. Like, that just wasn't my intention a lot of the time. If it was welcome, then, like, for sure. You know, why not? But if I kind of felt some tension or something going on, like, you just kind of read the room, you know. But
No, yeah,
sometimes it was like already told you're in the
Gotcha.
car and you're about to get out, and they're like, leave your phone in the car.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So depends.
That was just my curiosity, but now that you answered that, so it's a good vibe and everyone's just having fun and you can talk to these people like with no problem. There's not bodyguards all over, like.
Yeah, no,
cool.
it
Nice.
was a really cool environment. There was actually like one really memorable party. It was like a 90s theme, and it was just like overlooking all of Bel Air. It was like a Fresh Prince moment for sure, and it was just like.
Was Will Smith there?
No, I wish, but filled with like hundreds and hundreds of people, and this is a house party.
Yeah.
This isn't a club. This isn't like, you know, a Miami event. This is a house party, a house birthday party actually.
Damn.
And it was just like out of this world. Yeah,
Damn.
like
No,
people
I'm
think
sure
they
they
know
show-
parties, they don't know parties.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that.
I'm sure they show out.
Yeah, they showed out.
Yeah.
They really did.
Damn, so your friend, she put you on. Like, she was living there for a year. She already knew the people, the spots, and then you got there.
She was well connected, just like she still is, but like, I mean, it really started out amazing when I got over there.
Was she able to hook you up with a job, or is that something that you had to go and
So
find yourself?
I forgot to mention, so from back here, I was in the restaurant industry. So when I went out there, I was just kind of looking for restaurant jobs, and I came across a Yard House. If you guys are familiar.
Yeah.
Super cool place. I ended up being a hostess there, and it ended up paying my bills. So I was just chilling, working.
I love the hospitality industry and the service industry because, you definitely could. But that's the thing, like in the hospitality industry, like working in a restaurant, like bartending or serving, I love doing that because you are able to work a lot one week if you want to, but then you're also able to take a whole week off if you want to, if you have someone covering your shifts.
Exactly.
You could work only nights if you choose, or you could work only nights for this month, then the next month only mornings. So I'm a big fan of bartending, serving, hosting, and also just traveling or working on your passion.
Yeah. And I have been into it for a very long time. Restaurant industry for me is just kind of easy, and I've moved up the chain just to comfortable positions. I never wanted to go into like management, although I did, and just really wasn't into it. But it kind of stops for me at like serving or bartending, and it just kind of makes things easy. It's just such a comfortable, like, quick money-making solution.
Yeah, managers have the opposite of that, unfortunately. Managers are stuck there like 40, 50-hour work weeks. They're on salary, so they can't say no. Like, it's tough. And sometimes, or most of the time, the servers and bartenders make more than the managers. So it's like, I feel you. I would never, like, I'm good at serving bartenders.
Exactly.
And what I love about it, too, is that there's so many restaurants out there that you have options. You could work wherever, you know, like, you don't have to look for that doctor's office or whatever.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's, I mean, I had applied to other places before I finally landed at a Yard House, and I actually think it was Lely that told me about it. So I guess in a way she did help me with it. But I was looking at more like upscale opportunities, like straight in Beverly Hills, and they were like, you need more experience than what you have. And at the time I had only had a couple months. Like, I was fresh out of like my first year of college.
Yeah.
I didn't have much more in the restaurant industry. So
Yeah, you just gotta knock on doors, shake some hands. And see what's up.
I mean, I did my fair share. I must have gone to like less than 10 interviews. But it was definitely like daunting because, you know, I'm already moved to this place. Like, I need a job.
Yeah.
I need it to happen very fast. So it happened like within my first 2 weeks.
That's exciting, though. That's really exciting.
Yeah. That was the scariest part.
It's
and
nice to have a clean slate and just like go explore and just figure it out and see where life takes you, really.
Yeah, it was my clean slate moment, and I definitely took full advantage. I had so much fun, and like I said, I love that, just immersing myself in that scene, that city life, that party life. But I am more of a nature girl, and that's kind of what California had to offer me.
A lot of surfing.
Lots of surfing.
Yeah.
The cool thing about
And
California, what I learned from just being in St. Lucia with all these people from Cali, the pictures that they were showing me, because they're big on Instagram, especially at the time. This was like 5 years ago, and people out in LA are like way more social media, like, I guess, ish when it comes to posting and marketing themselves as opposed to like Miami. We kind of just do it for fun. They do it as a living. Like they're really out here trying to make a living off of that. So I respect them. But what they would show me was amazing because they would show me all within the same like state. There's deserts, there's mountains, there's green, there's beaches, there's surfing. There's so much within that state. It's mind-blowing.
It is
because all we know is beaches. We don't have hills, we don't have mountains, we don't have we have Everglades as like I guess jungle or whatever.
Yeah, right.
That's just one of those things I was missing here, you know? Like I did grow up liking the mountains. That's one thing. Like my brothers were a lot older than me growing up, and I used to go to New York and upstate New York more so, and we would go on like hiking and camping trips.
Cool.
It wasn't ideal for me coming from a big city to just go up there, visit my brothers, but they put me on. You know, it's amazing being out in nature and just kind of like going back to solo traveling. I mean, you're really just depending on yourself. Whatever you take with you on, you know, a hike to camp out at the top of the mountain, that's what you got. Like, and
how long are you out there for when you go hiking? Like a day or something?
Usually a night. Night.
You
camp.
Like
you set up a tent.
You pitch a tent.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Back in the day, my brother.
Are there wolves out there? Like animals? Like
There's
bears?
mountain lions.
Bears up in upstate New York, but nothing like we really didn't have to worry about any of that.
It's crazy.
I mean, we did and we didn't. Like, we were lucky enough to like not encounter anything crazy. But yeah, one of my first camping trips up north was like just like that. My brother didn't even pitch up a tent. There's something called I think they're called lean-tos, which is like basically a 3-sided structure with a roof, and he just put up his hammocks for us. So that's how we slept that night. And
Damn.
I mean, that my love of nature goes back to like those moments, you know, and growing up and just seeing what it's all about to like just love nature.
How were the stars out there when you were camping?
Oh, insane. Insane. That's my favorite part.
For real.
Yeah, I like stargazing. That's definitely something about me.
I went on a cruise recently and I got to see the stars from the middle of the ocean. Like, what a difference. It's amazing how many stars are actually out there that we just don't know about.
I know.
Out here you don't see any, so
yeah, no,
except for the bright ones.
Except for the main ones, exactly. But
I don't even see any tonight, and it's a super clear night.
No.
So
we're in the heart of the city.
How long were you in LA for? Like, how long did you live there for?
So I ended up staying for just short of a year, about 10 months.
How was that experience for you, like the whole 10 months?
It was
from beginning to end?
It was incredible. It's like, it almost felt after a while like I had adjusted, and it was like living back home, living to work.
Is that why you left?
To adventure. not necessarily, because I really liked being on that side of the U.S., just in as far as like the adventure goes. So on my days off, it was very different than being here, you know? My days off over there, it was like, go surfing, go hiking, explore a new beach in Malibu, or, I don't know, do anything I wanted. Honestly, it was a brand new place, and I have this mind that is just like twisting and turning with ideas. So like, I also like taking pictures at the time, not as much as I like it now, but I would take my camera to, you know, Malibu, take some awesome photos, or, you know, go even further south. And all this is done within a day. You drive like 2-3 hours and like, you got some real good scenery.
Yeah.
Like, it's real different than anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, they take it serious out there. There's a lot of photographers, videographers, like just content creators in general.
Yeah, and they got that landscape that's easy to work with. And that weather is like pristine, you know? Blue skies pretty much all the time. So it was one of those things that I really enjoyed it, and stayed for 10 months. Not because of anything that happened, and honestly I could have probably like kept going, but because my grandfather, who was living here at the time, was just kind of getting older and getting a little more sick. He ended up developing dementia, which is like a form of Alzheimer's. So it was just kind of rough to be away, and I was just so attached to my grandpa that it was just, I had to come back.
Yeah.
There was nothing else. There was no other option. I had to come back. I did my fair share of stuff out there, though. When I was out there, I did do my first trip to Hawaii, which was insane.
That's nice.
And I took advantage because I was so close.
Who'd you go to Hawaii with?
That was by myself. That was my first solo.
I've never done a solo trip.
That was my first
solo.
solo
trip?
Yeah. No, I've never done a solo trip.
Yeah.
What
was
makes you want to do a solo trip? I've never even planned a solo trip just because, like, I don't know why. It's not a thing that
I mean, I'll be honest, no one really thinks about it. I've gotten really comfortable with it over the years of just kind of going on certain trips solo. But that one, I didn't like, I guess I did. Maybe I like pushed myself into it because I had just gotten out of like a pretty nasty relationship at the time, and he was somebody I worked with
in
at
LA?
Yard House. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In LA,
Gotcha.
all in LA. And like right around this time, Valentine's Day was coming up, and I was like, I need to get out of Dodge.
I'm going to Hawaii.
I need to get the hell out of Dodge.
Island way out of here.
Yeah, so I booked a flight. I took 2 weeks originally off from work.
Yeah.
I booked a flight, and I did something called WOLFing. It's an acronym. It stands for Working on Organic Farms. So I went on like a traveler's budget. Like I'm pretty much living paycheck to paycheck. You know, I'm still 19 years old, working as a hostess in a restaurant, living in LA. Like, it was tight, and I found a flight that was super affordable. And this whole program is basically
Did you go to Hawaii to work there? Or I thought you went to Hawaii to, like, chill on vacation?
I was kind of going to chill, but, like, this Working on Organic Farm thing allowed me to go while doing like a couple hours of work a day, like physical labor, and living for free, eating for free. It was a no-brainer at the time.
That's still a program.
Yeah.
WOLFing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And I heard about it from one of my stepbrothers that I went to Costa Rica with.
Yeah.
They kind of just mentioned it. They were like, I feel like you'd really benefit from, knowing about this.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
So it depends on the farm. But basically, we were living in tents, like really nice, well-made tents, like a 10-person tent.
A 10-person tent?
Massive tent, massive tent with like actual cots inside, like bed cots. And you can either sleep there with your sleeping bag, but I had a hammock, so I just put that up. And
you love hammocks.
I do. It's like you always take a bed with you, and they're like this big.
For sure.
So
I'm painting like a picture of, the movie Holes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this kind of where you're like staying at? Just a tent with like a bunch of beds?
Kind of. But it's just, so on this farm, there were 4 other girls. I was the 5th girl, and then there were 5 other guys, and we were separated. So this was one of the tents, and then the other tent for the guys was like up on the hill, and it was more of like, I guess you would call it a yurt. It's like cylindrical, it's like a sphere, like a, not like a sphere, it was just round. They had like a deck, like they actually put some effort into that.
That's awesome.
And then ours was like just on the ground, so you needed the cots, or you needed to just be lifted up off of it.
How long were you working there for?
So I did the original 2 weeks that I had planned to take off of work, and then something really weird happened with like my paperwork at work, and they called me like before my 2 weeks was up, and they're like, look, I know you're out of town right now, but we're missing something like important from like your file, and unfortunately like you can't come back on the schedule until we have that. And I was like, hold on, so I'm not fired, but you can't put me on the schedule until I bring something in? They were like, yeah.
I'm gonna take advantage.
I was like, oh, dude. I called the airline and I booked another 2 weeks out there.
Wow, this is awesome.
So I stayed just short of a month. Just short.
A month in Hawaii?
A month in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Wow, by yourself. Amazing.
Well, with these people that I've met. So,
Right.
I mean, at this point, I'm really comfortable where I am. You know, it was a really different experience. So on this farm.
Did you surf in Hawaii? You had to have surfed in Hawaii.
Not on this trip because, like, I didn't have,
you
really
went
have
back?
access
Bring
to a board.
her surfboard.
You went back
with the
at some
whole-
point to Hawaii?
Yeah.
Cool.
In the future. In the
That's
future
awesome.
I did, and I was able to surf there. But for this trip, it really just was like, I'm going to do this volunteer project, just kind of get out of my head and just kind of give back. And it was really a Monday through like Thursday or Friday afternoon that we were working, and then we had the weekends off. And on the weekends we would go to like, on the big island of Hawaii, there's really one town, and it's Kona. And you go there, and there's bars, there's restaurants, there's a massive Marriott where, you know, you can just kind of hang out at some of the bars there and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what we would do on the weekends. And then on other weekends, we would hit up the valley and go down into the jungle. We did like some waterfall hikes and stuff like that. So it was really interesting to see like what was surrounding. But the big island of Hawaii is just known for its farmland. So it was ideal for these people to have a farm out there, and they had acres and acres of land, and it was an organic farm. So we were growing pineapples and, you know, different fruits. And this farm in particular had like a gold mine of something called a kukui nut. So it was a kukui nut farm, and these kukui nuts are like, they're almost like walnuts.
Okay.
But you use this nut, like, I guess, you know, once you process it, you could turn it into like conditioners, lotions. Like, this was a huge business, and they had a lot of trees that produced this nut. So like every morning we're waking up, these trees like drop these nuts. We're out there picking at like 7 a.m. like just a bunch of kukui nuts off the ground, filling like
tubs.
Wow.
Tubs, like bags actually.
So
Bags
it's a lot
like
of
this
like
big.
physical labor outdoors.
A lot of physical labor, a lot of outdoor activity. I learned how to milk a goat. Yeah, it was just experiences
you had
I
fun
would have
with
never
it though,
gotten.
right? Like,
oh,
it was,
so much fun.
Cool.
I was so into it the whole time.
Yeah,
the whole
cool.
time. Just it was an
That's what matters.
it was
It's
just
an
a
outdoorsy
crazy
person's
yeah.
like dream for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like ideally want to go on a trip and like have to work so much,
and
you
no
know.
goats.
But it was just so interesting, and everything that was like
cool.
made for us as far as food goes was all from the farm. We would make goat cheese, we would make goat milk. I mean, it was just crazy to see how like we were literally living off the land.
Yeah, self-sufficient.
Yeah, but in a very like civilized way. Like it wasn't like we weren't eating off our hands. Like we had like bamboo plates that were made by our little chef. I say little chef, but he played a huge role out there, and everything. So he was vegetarian. He was a vegetarian chef. I'm not vegetarian, but I'll tell you that food was fantastic. I'll tell you, it didn't even make a difference to me. Like we still got our sources of protein. We still got our sources of everything we needed in a hard day's work.
Definitely.
So that was one of those moments, and a big moment in my life, just being that first solo trip. That kind of opened my eyes and said, like, I can do this. I can do this more.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Do
I
you
made
still
a lot
keep
of
in
good
touch with
friends.
anybody from over there?
Yeah, I was actually just about to mention that one of them I'm still, like, very good friends with to this day. A couple of the other girls, we kind of fell, like...
Sorry,
out
do
of
they all
contact
live
with.
in Hawaii, or they all travel there like
no,
you?
every single person that I met out there, minus the owner of the farm, was not from there.
Wow.
The girls, I think one was from California. My friend that we're still friends today, she is from England, who now lives in Portugal. Another girl was from Canada. Another girl was from, like, upstate New York. Everyone was from, like, different lays of the land, like, different personalities. And we all, for whatever reason, clicked pretty well.
Very cool.
The guys as well, all from different places. The guys actually knew each other from California, because that's where the farm owner was from, like Northern Cali. And they were all just kind of coming out for like a boys trip. So the guys kind of knew each other. The girls, no one knew each other. We all.
I can't believe I've never heard of this until now. I feel like they should have like a TV show, like real life wolfing.
Real life wolfers.
Yeah, real life wolfers.
It's kind of crazy how long it's been around, and like every time I bring it up, nobody's familiar.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, like I can.
It makes a lot of
never
sense.
on here. Like I would love to do it again, and I'll put anyone else I think is like on that path. I'll put them on.
Yeah.
And
No,
I loved
it's
it.
a great way to get into a place that you've never been, work while you're there, have a community that you're surrounded by. And
Yeah, it was really nice. Made everything work out really well. Everyone worked cohesively. Everyone was just really happy-go-lucky. I mean, just awesome individuals.
So you're there for a month, and then
I would love to go to Hawaii. I feel like, man, like you're just so away from America, but you're technically in America. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I can't imagine living like, born and raised in Hawaii. Like, shout out to Hawaii and everyone out there. But I can't imagine being born and raised in an island so far away from everything. You're like in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
You are.
Do you feel that way when you're in Hawaii? Like, do you feel like you're in the middle of the ocean, or it's so kind of big that you just like...
I don't know.
Don't really think about
to me,
it.
it was pretty surreal, like, to think about it. But at the same time, like, I was just on such a high.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just so happy to be there because for a long time, Hawaii's been on my list of things to do, on my list of places to get to. And I just couldn't stop looking around.
Yeah.
Like, one day, I'll just give you an example of, like, just how surreal this experience was. One day, we're chilling on the beach. It's a weekend. We're chilling with everyone from our camp. And we're just sitting on the beach, having a couple of drinks. And I swear to you, I thought I was tripping. I looked out at the ocean, and I see something just massive, like the size of a ship, jump out of the water. I'm like,
oh, shit.
What's going on?
That's crazy.
Did you guys see that? And everyone's like, no, what? I was like, I thought it was like a one-hit wonder, like it'll never happen again. It happened again and again and again, and it was whales breaching in the distance. And I was like, this is blowing my mind right now. I'm chilling on a beach, and there's whales putting on a show, like, right there.
I've seen dolphins do that, and it's beautiful. Like,
Man,
whales is like...
like whales jumping out of the water.
Bro, whales are bigger than boats.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Definitely.
Than a lot of boats.
And you don't see them coming, bro. The ocean is a different place.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
When you were out there, did you go to, like, the volcanoes? You see, like, lava? Did you do any of that?
So I didn't get to because I just didn't have the time with, like, the project I was working on, but I definitely want to go back and see it. And if you see a lot of the land in Hawaii, like, coming out of the airport, a lot of it looks like just rocky. And that's just from, like, Mauna Kea erupting years ago and, like, just kind of killing all the vegetation in that particular area. It's like, oh my God, we're all just here.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's kind of crazy to think of, but nothing happened. I'm not really sure what's going on with the volcano to this day, but nothing happened while I was there.
Scary.
It really wasn't active. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it was active to an extent, but, like, no smoke, no nothing. So we ended up not having time to go.
I only asked because I saw a video. I think, like, a couple years ago, it did erupt, and, like, there's a video of lava creeping up to a car, and it then goes over the whole car.
I've seen stuff like that. That was crazy.
I can't imagine living somewhere like that.
It's a scary
but
thought,
anyways, so
it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, so then your job tells you that, and then you say, okay, I'm gonna book a trip. Where'd you book the trip?
I extended it. I extended the Hawaii trip.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Stayed in the Big Island.
Okay.
Did an extra 2 weeks, so stayed, like, just short of a month total, and then went back to LA. I think this was, like, where I had a couple months left of my LA endeavor, because this is when I kind of started, like, getting into my mind I should come home soon, you know, kind of thing. So I must have come back, I moved in June, and that was in February. I must have come back, like, May. No, I'm sorry, that might have been too long. April. So April's when I came back. So my 10 months over there was over, and it's definitely a good story now. But
now that you're back home in Miami, are you thinking, like, okay, well, back to school or back to getting another job and traveling more?
So school was a thought, and it was kind of short-lived because the idea was to, like, immerse myself in travel as much as possible while still being able to be close to home.
Cool. So that's what I was, like, kind of wondering with you, just seeing how, just where you've gone and what you've been able to do. Again, like, you live my dream life, and many others, like, wish that they could travel as much as you. So after LA, you went to Hawaii, and then after Hawaii, you basically go to LA, come back home, and that's where you decide, this is what I want to do. I just want to travel as much as possible and just explore.
Yeah, and I wanted to make it a reality. I didn't know to what capacity just yet, because I to this day, I still struggle with making money online, which would have been a no-brainer, you know? Like, travel, work online, and just have that lifestyle. But I just never been able to, like, kind of grasp that concept. So
you could try to get a work from home job nowadays. It's like very available.
Yeah. But I also, I don't like the idea of having a boss.
Well, I did it. I worked from home for about 8 months, and it's nice. It has its pros and cons, but after a while, it's just, I'm sure many enjoy it. I'm not the type that can sit on a computer all day for 40 hours a week because I like to sit in front of a computer for my own time, my own research, my own company, my own stuff. So working home for me didn't work out. But I mean, I was just thinking because, you know, if you travel this much, if you have a laptop, you're technically working from home.
Yeah,
so it's like a cheat code in a way.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I definitely did think of it. And at the time, I was still like just posting pictures on Instagram, just thinking it was something or could become something, which looking back, I mean, Instagram has been a huge source of just like realization for me. It's just over the years kind of made me realize like it is possible. And I don't even have to do it like working for someone else. Like I can make this happen for me. But going back to that moment, I just hadn't like figured out that solution. So my only solution, and something that I was really into at the time and still to this day kind of dabble in, I got my STCW, which is a couple of certificates to be able to work on yachts.
Cool.
And I did that.
Working on yachts. Say that again. What is it? A certificate?
It's called an STCW. So it's about 5 different certificates you need to work on a yacht of a specific size. So and these certificates are just like basic first aid, basic survival skills, basic firefighting, like really weird, like general skills. But when you're on a boat, you depend on the crew. If you're the guest, there's no one else on the boat except you and the crew. The ones that save your life in a disaster situation is the crew. So we've got to know what we're doing, and that's what that course kind of taught you. So after that...
How did you get into that? Because that sounds super interesting and awesome. I would love to work on a yacht, but I've never heard of this. So like, how?
It was pretty awesome.
Tell me more.
I had never heard of it until I met a South African at a bar. Sounds like a joke.
It does.
That actually sounds like a cocktail.
Yeah. So I met the South African at a bar. We just got into a conversation as to like what we do for a living. And turns out Miami and Fort Lauderdale are huge hubs for yachts. And that's what he was doing. His yacht was docked at one of the local marinas. He was just having a casual drink. And I was just there with a friend, and we ran into each other, started talking, and he mentioned that. And I said exactly what you said. I was like, tell me more.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know all about this. He was like, all right, well, first, I wanted to be a stewardess. There's other positions. Obviously, you can go as high as a captain. But a stewardess is basically like maintenance of the boat on the interior. So like cleaning, preparing food for guests, because you can either work for like a family or like a charter. And a charter is just like guests that either book the yacht for like hours to a full day or like a couple of days to like a week or even longer. You know, it can be as long as
depends on the yacht.
They want it to be. Yeah, exactly. It depends on the yacht. So that's kind of what I got into, and right after he told me that, I went and got those certifications, like, I'm not even kidding you, same month, and I just started looking for work immediately.
Oh, I thought he would be the one to hire you or, like, help you.
No, so it's kind of hard because, like, that was the first and last time I ever met that person. Because I got his Facebook information. To this day, I don't even think he has a Facebook anymore. I haven't seen him post anything in years, but like, if you're in that industry, there's seasons. So typically you come here for winter. You come to Florida for winter season because we got that nice weather, you know, and everywhere else is cold. You come straight to Florida, you go to the Caribbean. Yeah. During the summer, you go to the Mediterranean, Europe, or you go to the Northeast, like Northeast Canada, New York, all these places like right here in the U.S. So those are the seasons that we're familiar with because we're just right here. On the other coast, there's seasons as well. So I never saw that guy again. We only stayed in touch for him to give me enough information to like be able to do it myself. And then after the course, they kind of put you in contact with like different companies that can not like staff yachts, but like kind of
like catering companies, I guess.
No, they like post job availabilities. Okay. So it's just a website that yacht owners or yacht captains.
Oh, it's kind of like
they're looking for stewardess.
Like exactly
brand ambassador work, like this is what we need people to do.
Yes.
It's like a hiring recruiter.
Yes.
Okay.
Space.
It's just where you put like posts of what you're looking for.
As long as you have your license, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
Okay.
Even some, I mean, don't require it.
Yeah.
But it is good to have because obviously, like, if you want to go overseas, like, you got to know that stuff. So I kind of just immersed myself, and my first job was just some light day work here. Actually, I worked on a 120-foot yacht on my first job.
Hell yeah.
And it was pretty cool. We didn't go anywhere. It was docked right here. I made an easy couple $100 to $1,000 in like 3 days just cleaning a boat.
Oh, hell
nice
yeah.
boat.
Hell yeah.
A really nice boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna apply to this certificate.
The certificates, how long does it take to get those?
A week.
It's a week.
Took a week.
Program to get all 5.
Yeah, each day was a different like
Certification,
task,
yeah.
a different certification, and then at the end you have a test, an exam.
Mm-hmm.
And the exam is pretty easy. Like, it was easy for me because I really enjoyed the course.
Definitely.
I liked learning about that. They literally like put you in a pool, like a survival raft, and you gotta like flip it over, jump in it, like look at, you know, all the different like equipment that they have, lay it out, like just really interesting stuff. And I don't know, I kind of saw it as like a movie moment.
Yeah, that's fun. It doesn't
If I'm ever
feel
in this
like work.
situation, like, yeah, it didn't feel like work. It didn't feel like I was being graded or gonna be tested. I learned CPR. I got CPR certified. I got to run into a burning building, controlled burning.
Okay.
But one of the certifications was like basic firefighting.
Dope.
So they give you the suit, they give you everything, the oxygen mask, and you do the damn thing, and it was really cool.
It's an adventure.
That's amazing.
It was nice and easy. I passed it on the first try, and then, like I said, after that, like jobs just started getting posted, and I just started checking their sites a lot more frequently, sending emails where it was necessary. Got my first job pretty quick. Second job came a little slower, and then third job was like really exciting. I wanted to go on season somewhere different. Obviously, I had my grandfather here, and we were still going through, you know, him and his changes, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad with him. Like, he still remembered us and things that were going on, and my mom lived at home with him. So it was one of those things, like, everyone told me, you know what, go do it. And the job that I had applied for was a yacht that was going to take me to New York and stay in New Jersey, technically, but ride around New York for the one owner. So it wasn't like a charter or anything.
How long was this season?
It was going to be... it was going to be for the whole season, so like about 6 months.
6 months. So you booked a job for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And
So I
within that
confirmed it.
job, you're traveling.
Yeah.
So the universe loves
Win-win.
you at this
Yeah.
point. You're just,
Yeah.
I want to travel, and then the universe is like, well, South African at a bar, meet Kristen. Here you go.
Yeah,
So-
looking back, it's kind of crazy how, like, it was all answered like that. But, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, there was a lot of money, a lot of time, and just a lot of work and effort that went into it. It's not, like, as easy breezy as it sounds, and I was struggling a lot, too. When I came back, I didn't really have a job, you know? I did end up going back to Duffy's, but, like, I didn't have anything lined up, you know? But it ended up working out as well. And then I stayed at Duffy's until this fell through. When it fell through, I started the road trip. We ended up driving to New York because the boat was already there. They had already taken the boat up, which saved me a lot of time. Would have been cool, but it would have been different taking the boat up. And we made it there in like 2 days, kind of rushing the road trip.
Who'd you drive up there with?
The captain.
Nice.
I drove up with the captain. My mom and my grandpa dropped me off at the marina. So that was like our goodbye moment. And I went up, met the captain, super cool guy. And mind you, like, you're meeting this person for the second time. So I had the initial interview, but I didn't even meet the owner yet because the owner was already in New York. So the captain was the only person that I knew and was familiar with. We ended up having this drive, so we familiarized ourselves a little bit more. And then once we got up there, there was a first mate, which was another gentleman who ended up bringing his girlfriend on board, which had, like, nothing to do with the yachting industry. She was basically just there because he was there.
You could do that? Bring a +1?
if they let you, I
yeah,
guess.
the owner was
Wow,
cool with it,
Yeah.
and he
Good for
just,
that guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he just kind of made it like another stew position, and it was getting a little tight on the boat. It wasn't like one of the biggest I've ever worked on. It was like a 56-footer.
Okay.
So
So-
for those 6 months, what was your role? Like, what was a work day like?
So I'm gonna.
And just curiosity
Yeah.
is just going wild right now. Like, so
I know,
when
there's a lot.
when you do have a work day on the boat, and like let's say your work day is done, I want to know what your work day looks like. But once it's done, like, what does the clocked out life look like on a yacht? Like, how does that work?
Okay, so for this guy, there was really like no clock in or clock out moment. This guy worked in construction, and his hours were like, you wake up at 4 a.m. and you get ready with some coffee for him because he's coming on board. And then he's going to go to work till like maybe 7 or 8. And then he's going to come back, and we're going to like have business meetings on the boat, maybe do like a little drive around the Hudson. And, you know, that was just an easy day. And then maybe we'll get off at like 8 or 9. That's an easy day. Now, a harder day is when this guy doesn't sleep at all, and he's inviting all his friends to come out with us. We're going from bar to bar on the Hudson River, like just going up and down New York, like hitting up places literally on the river, so able to dock up the boat and get off and enjoy stuff. And this is going on like all night long. And then we maybe sleep like an hour or two, and then he wants to have his family on board the next day.
Whoa.
It's like, oh God, you're
This guy's
killing
wild.
me. You're
Yeah.
killing me. So
Did you get to know like what the owner does for a living, like who he
yeah,
is?
I knew the construction.
It's a construction worker,
Oh,
but he owns a
yeah.
yacht.
Yeah, well, he wasn't a construction worker. He
Oh,
owned a construction
he owned
business.
A construction company. There
Yeah,
we
a little bit of a difference.
For sure.
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
So, I mean, I knew he had it going on, and he definitely knew how to party. That's for sure.
Did he own a construction company in New York?
Yes.
And was he Italian?
Um,
I'm just kidding.
I don't remember,
I'm thinking like mobster. But I'm kidding.
I don't remember actually, but
Yeah.
Construction, New York.
Yeah. But he could party.
even if he
Yeah.
did work in that industry, I wouldn't say it on this
Nah, I'm just talking
podcast.
shit. I'm just talking shit. So wow, that's what a
So,
lifestyle.
Yeah, and I will say this, like right now, I didn't complete the 6 months. It was like really hardcore of going like all day long and then barely sleeping and going all day long again.
Not worth the money. No. And
How
Not worth my
does it pay?
sanity.
Do they pay per week, per day, per month?
It was a weekly payment because we were like a set staff. It wasn't like we were doing like a day here, a day there, because usually like you could get paid on the day if you were just doing day work. But like when you're a set staff and you're working like on this boat, living on this boat, like it's becoming like a paycheck. You know, you're not just getting paid for the day, like you're getting a paycheck. So the experience ended up being really cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. With all that craziness, like this man let me borrow his Phantom Rolls Royce to go into the city of New York to get my nails done one day.
Ooh.
Like it was one of those things, you know. So I was like,
I mean,
all right.
a paycheck can't really buy that.
I
so
know,
that
I
is
know.
an experience.
Yeah.
That
So
is nice.
it was a lot
Wow.
of really good experiences, and then a lot of crazy experiences.
That's a lot
to
of
where-
trust, though. This guy just trusted
Yeah, oh,
you
yeah.
with
Oh, he
driving
had a-
that
no,
car
no, no.
in New
He had
York.
a driver.
Oh, God.
He had a driver.
Wow, even better. What a life.
That is good.
Working
times.
on the yacht, hopping
Yeah.
into the rolls,
It
getting
almost
your
felt,
nails done.
It felt unreal, guys.
Nah,
Like,
that's amazing.
Unreal. And honestly, at that time, I was living it up. I was 20 years old, living it up. And just kind of towards the end of like my second month, I started like just really reevaluating. I was like, look, realistically, I don't think I could do this much longer. I'm running on fumes here. People are here all the time. Like, there's no sound sleep. There started to become like drama between like the other stewardess and myself and the other captain and the maid, and it was just like, this is a weird dynamic. So one thing happened where it was kind of the universe like saying, all right, Kristen, time to get out of here. Like,
I love that you just
on to the next
completely
thing.
follow the universe and just flow with whatever.
You have to. Like, I can't
Well,
fight it.
you do have to, and like I applaud you for that because not many people do that.
Yeah.
I guess they just trap themselves in a way where they don't they're not open to more opportunities. But
That's when you're safe. There's also nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being comfortable and having like a safe job, a safe place to live, and things like that. But at that time, I just wasn't interested in safe. I was interested in life experiences and work experience.
You did it right. In your early 20s, I would recommend that for anyone is go travel and explore, and because it's hard to do that in your 30s because you know you're gonna have a family and stuff.
Exactly, and that's always been my view of life is like, and my parents always tell me like, do it while you can. Like that one just simple phrase stuck with me for years and years. Do it while you can. And until now, like, I didn't really understand like the magnitude of it. And now I'm like, I go on a hike and my knee kind of hurts. You know, it's one of those things like I am getting older and doing the things that I used to do, like they're not gonna be as easy as they once were when I'm like 40 or 50 or 60. So why would I wait to do it?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, it just never made too much sense to me.
Well, the why is mostly because people, like I said, when you have a job, it's hard. You can only take like maybe 1 or 2 vacations per year. That's why I commend you on just allowing life to guide you to wherever it takes you. And if you have traveling in mind, that's clearly where it's taking you. So that's why I thank you for coming on again.
Yeah.
Like, really appreciate this because this type of conversation is something that we're not going to be able to have with most people because you're special in the way that you have traveled. It's just inspiring and it's amazing. It's like I'm very like captivated. Like I want to know your whole story. Like tell me more. Like,
no.
And I feel like this is only the beginning.
It is.
We haven't got to anything.
It's still the beginning. Right? Yeah, it's still the base of it all.
I want to know, like, so from New York, I guess you come back to Miami, I'm assuming?
No, actually. So
yeah, because I'm wondering, is there a time where you're just like, all right, I'm fucking going all out and just going here and then there and then here and then like putting work on the back burner? Like, how does that even...
So work has never been on the back burner for me. I've never stopped working. The most I've ever stopped working was during COVID, and it was only for like 7 months. Maybe very similar to a lot of people, maybe even less than a lot of people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the only time I ever stopped working. Never was I ever able to, like I said, figure out online income or figure it out for my travels just yet. So my next move, and the reason I say I followed the universe, is because one day on that yacht that I was working on, a nice, slow, chill day, one of the owner's business partners came on board. We ordered some pizza. Mm-hmm. Like just a casual day. We were all just cleaning the boat. They were having a business meeting inside. And this gentleman, I don't know why he took a liking to me. We had like a nice conversation at one point, and after the fact, he told me it was because you went half on a pizza with me. I was like, you're kidding. Okay. That's all it took.
All right.
And we didn't even like technically go half, but like as a stewardess, like I said, you kind of greet the guests, you take care of the guests, you set food out, you know, you make sure that they're good. It's like a serving position, but like mobile. So there was a point where the meeting was like on a hold, and I went in and I was like, hey guys, is everything okay? Would you like another slice of pizza? And he was like, I'm only gonna have one if you have one. Okay. And I was like, I'm gonna have one. Like, I'm hungry. So we just split a slice of pizza. We started talking, super quick conversation, and that was it. He left the boat. I thought that was the last time I was gonna see that guy. Mm-hmm. And then, like, the next day, the boat owner comes up to me, and he says, my friend took a liking to you, and he wanted me to ask you if you'd be willing to work at a restaurant that he's opening in Pennsylvania. I was like, excuse me?
Pennsylvania.
What are you talking about? He's like, he's a restaurant owner. He's owned a couple of different locations throughout, like, New York and New Jersey, and he's starting to expand to Pennsylvania, and he thinks you'd be a good fit. And in my head, I'm like, what is this? What's going on?
So many
anything to get off this boat.
And honestly, at that point, that's my mentality, because I was like,
timing.
Man, and I think he kind of caught that drift because after the fact, I ended up taking the job.
Yeah.
And after the fact, he had that conversation with me. He was like, look, I saw how everyone was on that boat. You did not fit in. Like, that just didn't seem like the lifestyle for you. And, like, it was just too crazy, guys. Like, it really was. It was, like, not stuff I want to say on a podcast.
Just drama?
Not only drama, but, like, just a lot of partying.
What podcast? We're not on a podcast. We're just talking shit.
we are, but yeah, I'm
Damn, so did you look into like the restaurant, the owner, the this and the that, or you were just like, well, I'm gonna trust this and let's see where it takes me?
I kind of trusted it.
Cool.
I'll be honest. Looking back, I should have done more research and stuff, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try this out. And I told him, I was like, look.
I just meant research, like the type of restaurant. Was it like Italian?
It wasn't
like
even open yet.
Sports bar?
It wasn't even open yet.
What was the vibe though? Like fine dining or?
The details is more like, it was going to become a sangria bar/restaurant. But it wasn't open just yet. And it was in a small town of Pennsylvania, super small town, called New Hope.
Okay.
It's a really historic town.
New Hope?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar. I don't know where I've heard that, but it sounds... Pennsylvania, where is that? Is that north of New York?
It's west.
Okay.
It's like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's right there. So I wasn't going far. If you think about it, I was like maybe an hour and a half away from the boat, where the boat was docked in New Jersey. So it was one of those things that, like, I said, I'm going to give it a week. Let's see what it's like. And then, I'll make my 100% decision.
How many months into the boat were you at that point?
I was coming up on my third.
Oh, okay.
Coming up on my third month and, like, already fed up at this moment.
Is there a way that you can just, like, I guess, cancel the contract or whatever and just not work there anymore and go back home, or how does that work?
Kind of did.
Yeah?
Kind of did. I mean, this guy helped me, but yeah, you can do it. Things happen all the time, and sometimes you just don't work out with the crew, or I don't know, God forbid you get fired. Like,
no, yeah, it's good to have an exit plan just in case. Yeah, that's good.
It sucks, and I mean, a good owner doesn't want to see a good employee leave ever, but at the same time, like, I had an out.
Yeah, that's good.
I wasn't leaving like on a whim, like I'm done with this, I'm fed up. It was like I had the out. So I kind of gave it a shot, and this town was kind of cool. It's known for being haunted.
Wow.
And this place that I was being...
The whole town?
The whole town.
The whole town. The whole town is haunted.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
No.
Uh-oh.
Would you ever want to see a ghost?
Maybe a nice ghost.
Nice. Okay.
But I mean, it was one of those things, like I heard it, but like I didn't really believe it. But living in... So this place is called the Mansion Inn, and I will name drop it because like it is still there to this day. It's a historic.
The Mansion Inn.
Yeah.
Is this where the haunted mansion comes from, or? No?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so, but it definitely had like that concept, that vibe going for it. So basically, it was a 3-story mansion that was slowly over time converted to like a bed and breakfast. So they had a full kitchen, they had like 5 bedrooms, and like a little restaurant down below. You can't do much because it's a historic landmark, so you can't like alter the structure in any way. Mm-hmm. You can't say like, I'm gonna tear this hunk of junk down and build like a Hilton here.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So that building will be there for a very long time. So, and it's still called the Mansion Inn. And when I was out there, the first week I stayed there by myself, and it was crazy. And my task was like
crazy.
Tidy it up.
Mm-hmm.
It was full of so much crap. I mean, there were boxes everywhere. Like, it was a hard job.
You were working in the mansion?
Yeah, I got hired for it. Like, this guy wasn't joking. He wanted me to come work for him.
Oh, but I thought it was a restaurant. It was a restaurant in the mansion.
Yes.
And you get to live in the mansion while you work in the restaurant in the mansion? I gotta follow you around more often. These jobs that you
zero
get
commute.
It's weird.
You live in a haunted mansion.
Yeah.
Where you don't go to Indeed though. That's the thing. Like, where do you find these?
Just honestly,
meeting people.
like,
random guy that splits a pizza on a yacht with you, bro. Come on.
Yeah, man.
Figure it out.
You're right.
And you just.
And how'd you get to that pizza? Because the guy in South Africa,
the South African said, "Hey."
Wow. Honestly, like I just think like a lot of these opportunities came because I didn't hesitate. You know, like
But you
maybe
were
I
also
did
open
like
to them. That's the whole thing.
yeah,
Like, you're
and I
open
was
to
very open
opportunity,
to
and
them. You know, like
that's
maybe I
fun.
did think about it, but I was like, you know what, this could be kind of cool. And I was right. It was really cool.
Definitely.
Wow. So at this point, you're. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like you're alone in a haunted mansion, and you're working this job.
I'm cleaning up.
Did you feel scared at any point, or are you just like whatever? You're
Kind
good.
of. Only because like I knew the history of the town and like it just kind of gets in your head, you know, but like I didn't hear anything, I didn't see anything. So after a while I kind of like eased into it. So safe to say I stayed longer than the week. We ended up opening the restaurant like a month and a half after. It was a lot to do. Like I'm not even kidding.
Always
Like I
opening up
said,
a restaurant.
yeah.
I've done it.
It was
I've
just
done
wild.
it twice, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
I had never done it in my life before that moment. And this was like very like family owned, so it wasn't like a huge production. It wasn't like, you know, a chain restaurant or like a team of management coming in showing you what to do. It was me cleaning up, figuring out how to basically, I've been in the restaurant industry, but how to run a restaurant and how to run a bed and breakfast, and then how to manage employees. And the gentleman that hired me basically put me in charge of like way too much.
Because
like
of
everything.
a pizza.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he needed somebody reliable. I think that's what it came down to the most.
Nah, yeah.
And he kind of saw, I don't know. I like to think I still have these qualities that like you can look at me and think I'm trustworthy, and you know, I get things done. And I really take value to the work that I put in. So I think he saw that, and he had mentioned that to me, and he did have a lot of trust in me for us knowing each other for the amount of time that we did. Like we
Yeah, I
opened
feel like
it up.
he definitely
We
saw
did that.
something special in you for sure, because I'm
Yeah.
sure a guy like that meets a lot of people throughout his day.
He definitely does.
So I'm sure he saw something like very special in you. So
Yeah.
he trusted you to basically open and manage
Yeah.
all of everything going on within this restaurant.
Yeah.
And how did opening day go? Was everything ready, or was it hectic?
It was hectic, but it was manageable. So we got a decent kitchen staff. We got a chef from New York. We got a couple of we got a dish guy and like a sous chef from local town. And then we got I was the bartender and a server. There was like another 2 servers. And then his kids would help us out because we were like coming up on summer break. So his kids were like helping out a lot, and we had a hostess. And on opening day, I think it was already June. So the summer is peak season in this little town, and it popped off. I mean, for the next couple months, actually, I think it was May that we opened, because for about May to like late August, we were packed, like jam-packed. And I had never made so much money up until this point in my life, because I was saving, I was living, working, and eating there, all on property. I barely had any expenses of my own. I didn't
That's
go
awesome.
to college. I didn't have debt. You know, I was...
Well, you just said
I
you were
was
living
loving
there
it.
and eating there. Those are the 2 biggest expenses anyone can have.
That's
is
what I'm
where
saying.
you live and where you eat.
Yeah, no,
So that's big.
I was blessed to be in a moment like that at the time, at that age, because I mean I was able to save up so much money.
With
And it
all
was a
that
good
saving
time.
in your mind or in the back of your mind, was it like I'm saving all this money to just go travel, or was it just like I'm saving because I don't know where I'm headed after this, and I'm just gonna save?
I didn't really have a plan. My foreseeable future, like for that moment, included that place. And I really wanted to see that place like make it, because the idea was we can make it, we're gonna open up another one somewhere. So that was my path. That was the path I was on at the time. And down here, with everything going on back home, my house was being sold at the time, my childhood home. My mom and my grandfather were moving out to where we live now, and it was so life altering. And like looking back, I was so grateful to have something like that, because it made me feel like I had something that was stable. Although it was far from everyone, family, friends, and everything. I was just making good money. I was living in a safe spot by myself. And with all this happening, I ended up coming down. So I didn't have a car for the first couple months. So I ended up coming down while all the moving was happening, helped out with the move, got my car, got my dog, and took everything back up.
Your dog too?
Yeah.
Back up? Wow.
Yeah, she flew with me for the first time. I don't think I'll ever do that again, though. I don't think I'll ever fly her anywhere.
Did she have to go like under the plane? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's tough.
I didn't like that. And like to this day, I feel bad, and we always drive from there on out, but it was how I had to get everything over there fast enough to like just make my job happy. Because I didn't have much time, you know, like being the manager, being the bartender, being a receptionist, being a cleaning lady, being a server.
Wow.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything, and I'm just like, oh my God.
And you live there. What are your hours?
I mean, from the moment I wake up to the moment we close the restaurant, which was like 8 or 9 p.m. at the time, and then just maybe have some dinner, chill in my little space, and go to bed, get ready for the next day. We were open 6 days a week.
How long did you work there for?
I did about 9 months there. I ended up staying for a good chunk of time.
What happened after the 9 months? Like, why'd you leave?
So I only left, actually I think it was a little less than 9 months, maybe 7 months, because summer is awesome there. And everyone loves to go to this small town because of the weather and because of how historic it is and just how touristy it is. But once it starts getting cold in Pennsylvania, no one goes there.
Time to leave.
Yeah.
Time to come to Miami.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I kind of roughed it out for like, it was really bad October, November, and December. Like, dead. Like, walking dead. And we just weren't making any money. Luckily, I was still living for free, eating for free. So I still have money saved up. I'm not going out shopping. I'm not even traveling. I'm just literally working those 6 same days a week, but now it's just slow.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot of time for me to talk to the owner. We were just kind of going back and forth with different ideas. Finally, the idea that the place might shut down came up. And I kind of took that as like, you know, awesome. I might be ready to go now.
Yeah.
You know, so like things kind of happen when I'm ready for them to happen. I don't know if I just get lucky in that sense. Looking back, it happens like that. But when I was in it, I'm like, oh my God, my job is ending. Like, I had so much security here.
Yeah.
I had such a good life. You know, living for free, working for free. Who does that? You know, and living in a cool place. I had my dog finally, so we were going on hikes all the time, like on our days off, on my day off.
Yeah.
And my spot. So from this point on, we were renting out the
What type of dog
mansion.
is it? Just so the people that don't know.
Husky.
Okay, cool.
Husky, yeah.
Did the husky, like, I guess, coming from Miami to Pennsylvania,
She
did it
loved
like the
it.
weather more?
Loved it.
Nice.
First time seeing snow.
Nice.
Once
That's
it started
awesome.
getting cold, she got like just really, like, you could see it, like just
Yeah.
a change. She was like just so brisk and
Probably
free.
felt right at home.
Yeah, and once we moved over there, it was more like an off leash. Like, I trusted her more. So it was a very different living style for her and for myself. So hiking was like, you know, once a week at least. We would obviously go down this little path that I used to like every morning, every afternoon, every night, just for walks. And, you know, having the dog there just really made me happy. It brought like a piece of home with me, because at the same time, I'm alone a lot of the time there. You know, I don't have any friends in that neighborhood. I don't have time to like go out to a local bar and like meet people. Like, it wasn't those things. I would meet like the clientele, but it wasn't the type of like workspace to like invite anyone over.
Yeah,
you know?
you're just
like,
kind of grinding it out.
Yeah, I'm literally living there, so I can't like have too many friends over or anything like that. And at this point, I'm living like in the back house. So we're fully renting out the 5 bedrooms that I used to stay in one of them.
Okay.
Now I'm living in the back, which is super cool. It used to be the old caretaker's home of the mansion. And down below was where the owner would sleep when he was in town, because he lived in New York. And up top is where I lived. It was awesome. I mean, just living
sounds
accommodations was
amazing, yeah.
super sick. So I was kind of bummed when it came to an end, and I really didn't know what I was gonna do next. I was like, man, I'm gonna move back home, and what? And I don't even know what.
Was it more scary than exciting, or more exciting than scary?
At the time, I think it was a little scary than exciting, because it was like it was so slow. I knew I wanted to leave, but like I wish I could have kept going on like the path that I was on, like opening restaurants and doing that, but it just wasn't in the cards just yet. So the idea was to come back to Florida for a little bit and then go back up when the owner had like a new location and was ready to do it all over again. So this is kind of where the Hawaii trip ties in from like months earlier, because one of the girls that I met on that trip, the one that ended up becoming a close friend of mine, we had stayed in contact, and she said, I'm in Australia right now. I'm living here and working here, and you know, if you don't have much to do, like, come by and visit.
No way.
I was like, are you serious? And I, like I said, guys, I had saved up quite a bit of cash, so I was like,
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm driving back to Florida, leaving my car, and I'm going on a 2-week adventure to Australia, and then another 2 weeks to Indonesia.
Ooh, what's up with Indonesia? Why?
She was doing it after, and I was like, I'm jumping in. I'm jumping in on that trip, and she was gonna meet friends in like her friends from England in Indonesia. I'm like,
Indonesia.
Yeah, I'm
I can't picture anything. What is in Indonesia? What's in there? Like,
I'll tell you, it was the biggest culture shock.
is it more like desert,
the time for me.
rainforest? What's going on there? Mountains?
No desert. Lots of mountains. It's an island, so lots of beaches.
Didn't even know that.
By
Okay,
water.
cool.
Surrounded by water, and instead, like, Indonesia is a chain of islands. So I went to Bali.
Oh.
I landed in
cool.
Jakarta, which is the capital, but then I flew to Bali. So Bali, I'm sure you're a little more familiar with.
Yeah, I didn't. Okay, got you. Now.
So did most of the island of Bali with these kids, and then we went to like a small island off the coast called Gilead.
Okay.
And we did 2 weeks in Australia, 2 weeks up there. And in Australia, that was a crazy experience.
I got a question for you, because
Yeah.
I'm a fan of like all of your content on Instagram.
Yeah.
And because it's not just that you travel. I love that you post like the most quality photos and videos of all your vacations.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I'm trying.
Like, it's amazing. So, like, is that because of the people that you travel with? Like, do they take the pictures, or is it like half-half? You do it sometimes on your own too? Like, how does that even happen?
I would love to say.
Or did you
I
pick that up
travel
from
with people
LA?
like
Because
that.
I know they're very like big on social media and pictures. Because I'll tell you, like in LA, those people out there, they're big on like editing. They're big on
Most definitely.
the angles. They're big on all of that.
And that's just the industry that they strive to be in, because that's the world out there. But I wish I could tell you that I traveled with the videographer, photographer. Or,
Damn, I thought you were gonna tell me you did, because it is
no.
the quality is amazing.
I used to have to bother my friends to take a picture of me. No one used to be interested in it. I would be like struggling on my own on a tripod or something. Like back then, the pictures weren't as good as they are now.
What about when you were in Indonesia? Was at that point of your life still just kind of like traveling, not too big on the pictures?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I was big into it, but like I didn't have anyone by my side to like help me out with that interest. You know, it was more like, well, I want to capture these moments for me.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Exactly. And that's how it worked out. Like to this day, there's been a couple courses along the way and stuff, but I've definitely picked up a lot of that trade by myself.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So 2 weeks in Australia.
Yeah,
and
that
then
was
2
exciting.
weeks in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And then
Indonesia sounds like
So what happens after
really
Indonesia? What is do you go back to Australia and then figure it out, or do you
So,
go back home and then regroup?
I went back home. So that was just a trip. It wasn't like a continuous like I'm off from here. Like it was just a trip, and it was just when I moved back. So when I came back home, I had to find another job. And I was like, okay, so this is gonna be me. I'm gonna live in Florida for just a little bit. My grandpa at that point was already just kind of like, I hate to say it, but he was getting worse. His memory was kind of going, not with me or my mom or anything, but like he would forget small things, like that he ate breakfast or stuff like that. It's just kind of sad to talk about. So I was just taking trips at that point, and now after I've reconnected with my friend from Hawaii doing this trip, she was a full-time traveler, and she was like picking up like little jobs here and there. So she was different. She was like teaching English in Guatemala type of job. She was
full-time traveler, as in like she looks for jobs in different places on purpose to be able to travel and explore and work, and then keep doing that over and over again.
Exactly.
Full-time traveler. Never heard of that. That's like wolfing. Never heard of that.
That's like
cool. Okay, learning a lot of things.
She was very consistent with it. She would obviously stay in certain parts of the world, like Australia. She lived to work. When she left Australia with me to Indonesia, that was her last day of work. Like, she had already put her 2 weeks in when I flew out there. So when we went to Indonesia, both of us were technically, like, happily unemployed.
Cool.
And then her friends that met us from England were just on holiday. They were on a trip. So after that, we all went our separate ways. I think she went to Europe. I came back home. And then, like, I think it was, honest to God, like 2 months after, I had found a job, a restaurant job. And she had told me that she is still in Europe. Do I want to do a Europe trip? And I was like, hell yeah.
This was after coming back home?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so
back over to
I'm
Europe.
working a nice, easy restaurant job once again, and I get that text, and I'm like, yes, I'm going. So we plan a trip, Portugal, Spain, England.
Oh, my God.
Excuse me. Sweden, Denmark, and Norway.
Wow.
That's a crazy trip.
That is.
Norway was a quick
How many
layover,
days
so I
each
didn't
trip?
know.
Like each place?
So some places were a lot longer than the others. Like Portugal, I think I had 4 days. Spain, about 2. England, she's from England, so she had family, and then we had those friends that met us in Indonesia. So we stayed there for about a week, and then I don't know if you remember from high school, we had a friend. His name was Christopher Barrios.
Yeah.
So he was stationed out in England from the Air Force.
Okay.
Like a year before. So as I was planning that trip, I had also planned the trip with him and a friend of ours, Brandon Sanchez. So after England with my friend, I kind of split off, went to the north of England, and met up with those two guys.
Awesome.
So kept the trip going. We did Sweden and Copenhagen, Denmark together. And that's when we separated. We all went home, and I was just basically at that point going trip to trip, still working a pretty stable job. So I'm making, like, I think at this point I was a server. So I'm making what a typical server in Miami would make, you know, at like a chain restaurant. I don't even remember the restaurant at this time.
I would say average,
I still think I'm working at Duffy's at this point.
Like around 1,000 a week, I would say average, or
I think maybe less. I'm not gonna lie to you. So at this point, I'm thinking, like, I need to be home, but I don't want to stop this. I really don't. So just in that trip, I had backpacked to 6 countries. And I was like, I love the idea of just, like...
How many countries have you
Full-time
been
traveling.
in?
Yeah, and cramming, you know? Like,
Definitely.
How many
as much as I
countries
can.
have you been in total at this point?
At this point, I just got back from my 32nd.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're at 6. Keep going. I want to.
So 6
I
right
wanna
there.
know everything.
And this is like throughout my whole life, 32. So when I was younger, I think I did the Bahamas and Italy with my family. And then other than that, I mean, in my 20s, I've done the rest. So that was the first, like...
You can only live in your 20s
it.
one time. You're doing it right. Let me just say that.
Thanks. I'll tell you, though, like, there's a lot that... You know, I could have seen myself doing differently. I could have definitely buckled down and really started a career or just really done things differently, but this is what I really wanted.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, this is, like...
It's what matters.
It's all I'm passionate
You
about.
gotta go and
I
explore.
love it.
I mean, I guess I'm just the same as you. Like, I love traveling and I love exploring, and I feel like if you have one life on this planet that is so big, it's just, I guess, I don't know. I feel like I would love to explore as much as possible. So, I mean, yeah, you could have buckled down into a career in your 20s, but like we talked about before, if you were to do that in your 20s and then try to explore in your 30s,
it wouldn't work out.
Yeah, you kind of hacked it, because like the concept I was given is like delayed reward. Like you grind now when you're in your 20s and 30s, and then in your 40s and 50s, like if you ball out, then you can do all this stuff that you're doing. But it honestly seems way cooler to do it the way that you're doing it.
Especially the way that you're doing it, where it's
my
like,
parents don't think the same.
I mean, I like the way that you did it though, where you are finding a job within each location. You're not just out there traveling and exploring.
Yeah, you're
building
traveled.
yourself up also, like your resume and just your experience with traveling and people is, in my opinion, like invaluable. I would say, like the connections that you're able to have, and then also the way that you're able to speak to people when you've been so many places.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I mean, back in the day, I say that my parents weren't like completely thrilled about like me traveling consistently and not really going back to college, honestly.
Where are your
What
parents
parent
from?
would? every parent wants their kid next to them at all times.
Where are your parents from?
So they're Cuban descent. My dad was born in Cuba. My mom is first generation, so it makes me second generation. Dad being born in Cuba, I'm first gen on his side. So my grandparents would have never had that. I'll tell you, if it was just up to them.
I feel like I asked
No
because same, like both my parents are Cuban. They were both born in Cuba, and I was the one that was born here with my brother and sister. But with that being said, like I feel you and I feel them, because them coming from Cuba, they feel as if like we're here in America for you to like figure it out, get a career type of vibe. And I'm the same. Like I did the opposite. I told my mom, like, look, in my 20s, I'm going to go and figure it out on my own without school, because at the end of the day, if I'm 30 something and I didn't figure it out, I can go back to school.
Yeah, and that's always how I saw it. There's always a chance to go back, or there's always like courses you could take to just kind of pick up certain skills, you know? Like, I don't know. I've just always had a different vision, and these days, like, my parents kind of like flipped a switch, and they're like, kind of did it right.
Yeah,
like, we're
I mean, if
proud of
I'm sure
like,
they've
cool.
seen your Instagram at this point, and they're like, yo, there's nothing they could say. I mean, it's
well, you'd be surprised. They're
amazing.
they're not very tech savvy when it comes to like social media.
Well,
so
I mean,
like,
I'm sure your mom, she's Cuban, she loves pictures.
yeah,
So
she loves the pictures. That's what I'll tell you. But she wants them like texted to her as I'm on my vacation. And I'm like, hold on.
That's how my mom is
Can't
too.
happen that way.
Yeah. I just landed, Mom. Send me pictures.
Yeah.
Like, chill.
It's different these days. Like before, she used to be really scared, and now she's like, let me see.
Yeah.
You know, so something changed along the way. Like, they got comfortable as I got comfortable, and they realized like I wasn't gonna stop anytime soon, and I really still haven't. I mean, I've seen myself go maybe like 1 or 2 years consecutively, like a trip a month, maybe more.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah, it got really.
Nice.
It got really.
Yo, so wait, you
That's
got
so
back to Miami, and then you decided to go back to Europe, was it? Or where did
No, so at this point, after Europe, Miami just became home base, and I just kept going,
Different places.
coming and going
Yeah.
for.
How did
that
the schedule
foreseeable
look like?
future.
Did you like work at the restaurant for a little bit and then just let them know like, hey, I'm gonna go on vacation next month for the whole month, or like how does that work?
No. So I don't. I wish, but I don't take that much time off. If I do a trip, like for example, that Europe trip where I did 6 countries, that was 2 weeks.
Cool.
Yeah, the only reason I took a month off for like Australia and Indonesia was because I didn't have a job at that time. I was like in a transition. I was like, this is a perfect time to like just go explore, see the world, and hang out with my friends.
Yeah,
And I got time to do it.
definitely.
So other than that, everything was like the most that I was able to get out of a job, which was really cool, was like 20 days.
That is nice.
Yeah.
It's almost a whole month right there.
Yeah, exactly. So to this day, I've gotten like maybe 3 20-day trips. Other than that, it's been like 2 weeks or, you know.
So how do you try to do it? Like you work for 3 months, then leave for 2 weeks, or do you just like not even have a plan? You're just like, whatever happens, happens.
Honestly, like sometimes things come up to me. So after that Europe trip, my friend just started like telling me about her travels. And she kind of made it easy for me to get started because it was like I was just kind of tagging along, and she had already had like certain things set. Like I already have the accommodation set. Like just come with. I'm like,
Cool.
okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then after that,
And this was the friend that you met through Hawaii,
yes,
right? Cool.
yes. So after traveling on a couple of trips with her, I wanted to do my first solo trip, which happened around my 23rd birthday. And this was a really big one because, like, I mean, you guys know about my Hawaii trip. That was, like, the big solo. This was just going to be different in the sense that, like, I really didn't know anyone, and I was going somewhere I don't speak the language.
Where'd you go?
I went to Thailand.
Thailand.
To Thailand.
Yeah.
By yourself.
Yeah.
Why? Why Thailand by yourself?
So my friends that I was traveling
sounds-
with,
That sounds exciting, but like also a trip that you would go with a group of friends.
also yes.
Because it's just so far.
Also yes.
Where is Thailand actually?
It's like right
To
by
be exact.
Indonesia.
Okay, cool.
Right? It's
Yeah.
another island right by Indonesia. Or not an island, a peninsula, but like a bunch of different islands.
Like India. Or no. I'm off.
You know, I would assume it's
a little
there
further
somewhere.
than India. Like if Australia is down here, like it's right above it.
Like Philippines.
Yeah, right next to it.
Okay.
Actually, that was on the same trip.
Wow,
Dope.
Thailand by yourself.
Yeah.
For how many days?
So that was one of the big 20-day trips.
20 days in Thailand by yourself.
No, I did 2 weeks in Thailand. I did 5 days in the Philippines. I did 3 days in Egypt and 2 days in Dubai.
Ooh, wow.
Whoa.
What a trip.
Yeah. I went all the way around the world that time because I flew to Thailand
Wow.
through California, and then I flew the other way home.
How long is that flight?
It was very long.
Did you go with your dogs on any of these, or this was
No,
just solo?
Hell
no.
no, you
As
can't
far
take
as
dogs
as
on
far
this
as
one.
flying goes and like to different countries, I don't take the pups.
Okay,
It was just like the road trips, which I can get into in just a little bit. We're kind of coming up on that year very shortly. But yeah, at this point, I'm traveling. I'm a backpacker. I'm in Thailand. To get to the reason why this was like my big solo trip is because the friends that I've been traveling with throughout like Europe and you know, with the friend that I told you from Hawaii, they were all telling me like Thailand should be your solo trip. Like
Why?
it's one of those places that like it's a backpacker's paradise. You go to a $2 hostel for a night and you meet a ton of backpackers from all over the world. They're
Whoa.
all your age and they're at a
Whoa.
bar already.
Whoa.
It was the easiest place
Thailand.
in the world to meet people and
From all over the world, right?
all over. I actually made really good friends from Turkey.
Do they all speak English, or some do,
A lot of
some
them.
don't?
A lot of them do. But I'll tell you, getting to Thailand and not speaking Thai, just knowing like thank you and hello, like that's what was getting me by. I'll tell you, I actually met people on the plane getting there. People that were on my same flight all the way from Florida. That we realized like cuz it was from Florida, I forgot where we went next, but there was a layover. And I remember this girl walking onto the same next like gate with me, and I'm like, where are you going? Like, why are we walking the same way from like states and states ago? She's like, I'm going to Thailand. I was like, no shit, so am I.
We're about to be best friends.
Yeah, so after another layover, we had met a third girl that was traveling to Thailand as well. So now we were like 3 girls, and we land in Bangkok.
All on solo trips.
All on solo trips. Well,
Bro,
this
we
one
gotta go
girl
to
was
Thailand.
meeting her
We out.
boyfriend
That's
out
what we
there.
gotta go to Thailand.
This one girl was meeting her
Is
boyfriend
Thailand an
at the
expensive
airport.
trip, or is it just
She
the
just said
flight?
$2
I would assume?
hostel.
It's
No, I know. I'm
dirt
saying
cheap.
I'm assuming that the flight is the most expensive
flight is
part,
the most expensive.
which was around like what 700
At the
maybe
time?
round trip.
No, at the time
So
it
I'm
was
trying
like
to plan one,
400
like-
one way.
How do you find your
400
your
one
flights?
way.
Yeah, I only went one way.
Wow.
I traveled the other way around.
She's a risk taker. I
Yo,
saw her.
I-
I saw her skydive and bungee jump.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
But yeah, for the most part, I find my flights on like Skyscanner's my favorite.
Sky scanners.
Skyscanner, Google Flights, stuff like that. At the time, I didn't even know about Skyscanner. I just Googled it. Cheap flights to Thailand.
Cheap flights. I
A
mean, yeah,
$400 something one way to Thailand.
Yeah.
amazing.
Got me to Bangkok.
How was it? The overall experience of Thailand. Was
Yeah.
It, yeah.
Absolutely epic.
I've only
Is
heard
it
good things. Of
sightseeing, partying? What is it?
So, little bit of everything. So I was actually spending my 23rd birthday there. So I had arrived like a week, like a good 7 days before I was turning 23.
Mm-hmm.
So we landed in Bangkok. And like I said, I was with these 3 girls coming off the flight. So with these 2 other girls, we got in the same taxi. And this one girl actually met her boyfriend at the airport. So it was 4 of us in a taxi. We all get dropped off at the main strip in Bangkok. I believe it's called Koh San Road. Koh Sang Road.
Okay.
Something like that. And we get dropped off right there. And at this point, I have all my backpacks and just stuff on me. So my hostel wasn't very far from that road. But we were like, hey guys, let's meet up here like in a couple of hours. Mm-hmm. And funny thing is that one of our old like peers from high school was also out there, but like on, I don't know what those trips are called, like one of those organized trips, like a tour organized trip, something like that. And
okay.
There were 2 girls from our high school actually out there. And I knew that they were going to be there, so I booked the same hostel as them. But we were only going to be in that one city, that one night, like only. So as soon as I got to the hostel, it was awesome seeing them. One of the girls stayed in, and the one that I was closer with, we went out to Bangkok, and we went out to party. Like, it was one of those nights, like, we're going out, we're getting...
How's the music?
Choice.
How's the music out there in Bangkok? Like,
it was just different.
Is there any Bad Bunny out in Bangkok?
No.
No.
No, none of
I'm just so used to that vibe.
None of
like,
that. It's a really crazy vibe.
What do people dance to? Is there any grinding in Bangkok? Like, how do you
I heard
dance?
it's EDM out there.
Cool.
It was just
That's-
a lot of like, lot of hardcore electronic music, but there's different places to go to. Like, you don't want to get caught going into like the wrong place. There's like places called I don't know, like a ping pong show. Have you guys ever heard of that?
I can imagine.
I don't know what that is.
All right, well.
That's kind of like Amsterdam vibes.
Off air.
Yeah.
We'll catch you up
kinda.
on that.
Yeah, so that's just like, you
That's
don't want to get caught in the
hilarious.
wrong place.
Yeah.
Is that the wrong place though?
For some.
Nah, just kidding. For
So
some.
down this strip is basically where everyone like gathers. Everyone's like going from like one little bar to the other little bar, and like this strip is packed. Like sardines are on it. And I'm walking with my one friend. We pick up our first drink, which is called a bucket, I guess. I guess it was quite literally called a bucket because
The
it
drink
was
is
an
called
actual
a
bucket.
That is
It
gonna
is this
fuck you up.
big.
You know what that sounds like? Moe's. You remember Moe's in the Grove?
Yes.
The
I've
blue
had that
blue
bucket.
bucket.
I've had
Yes.
that bucket.
That's what I remember.
They pour 1,000
Well,
things
that's
in
the
it.
only thing you
Yeah.
remember.
And it's
real.
funny because it's like
No.
everyone knows there's underage drinking in there, so let's just give you a bucket full of
Here you
alcohol.
Yeah. So,
Good times.
Yeah, so anyways, that was how my whole experience went that night. We just had that bucket.
Blurry.
We had 2 buckets,
Oh,
and
no,
then it got blurry. And after that, I actually ended up meeting one of the girls that flew in with me on that road. So we actually did run into each other, and the rest of the night was kind of blurry and just really fun.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I can't really say much more. But after that, I was kind of on my own. And the girls had split from the hostel, and I was finally like on my solo trip. Like, no girls from my airplane, no girls from my high school. Like, it was just me by myself. And at this point, I'm ready to go to Phuket, which is like another little spot on mainland Thailand. And this spot is like closer to the beach. So I had booked a flight from Bangkok to there the next day. And I went there for just one night as well, before I had to take a ferry to like one of my favorite islands in this whole world, and it's called Koh Phi Phi.
Okay.
What is it?
And-
Koh Phi Phi.
Koh Phi Phi.
Never heard of it. Is that by Thailand or?
Yeah, it's one of the islands off the coast of Phuket.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those islands that like people tell you have to see if you're in Thailand. Like, it's gorgeous.
Is it like the Bahamas vibes, where super clear waters and white sand, or?
Kinda.
What makes it special?
Oh man, I mean, just the layout of the land is so unique. So if you get up to a high enough point, you can actually see like the island is like fatter at the end. It gets skinny with water on each side, and then it gets fat with like mountains.
Cool. Like an hourglass.
Yeah, and
Nice.
it looks so sick. And then from there, like, there are beaches on that island, but the real beaches are like a day tour away. Not a full day tour or anything. Like, you're literally just jumping on a boat, maybe going like 30 minutes to 40 minutes out to like these more remote islands. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio.
No.
I went to that beach.
The
I will.
Beach? It's called The Beach?
Yeah, it's called The Beach.
Yeah, I like Leonardo DiCaprio. He's
Yeah.
a great actor, but I've never heard of that one.
That's just like, when I got there, I didn't know that. I hadn't seen the movie or anything like that. People were like, oh my God, this is where the movie was filmed. Everyone's taking pictures. I'm like, must be somewhere good. You know? And on that day trip, like, we're hitting up different islands as well, but this was like one of those that, like, I think just recently they may have reopened it, because for a while it was shut down because there was just like over tourism, like just way too much trash accumulated. Like, it's kind of a shame. Like, when things are just a little over,
Yeah.
tourism
gets crazy.
Yeah, it kind of hurt. I didn't notice it at the time, but like, thinking about it after, there were like 50 to 100 people around me at a time, and the only way to get here is by boat. Like, so these people literally got on a boat that morning, just like I did, to come out here. And if there's 50 to 100 right now, there's gonna be 50 to 100 like in another 40 minutes when I leave and give them space. So it's one of those things, like, it was just getting hit by people all the time, and you know, it kind of makes you think of the world and like how certain places get, well, just a little more impacted than the others, you know, because there's a lot of beautiful places in Thailand, but that one's just so well known because of the freaking movie, and everyone just goes there for pictures and to say that they've been to the beach.
And they leave their trash.
Yeah,
And
that's the worst part. But the experience is awesome, and if you can kind of just like pack in, pack out, and even leave it better than you found it, like, that is one of those things that'll just make this world such a better place.
For sure.
Because
Koh Phi Phi.
Koh Phi Phi.
I'm gonna check
That's
it out.
the island.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's the island. So that was just one of the days I went to explore. Another day I did a booze cruise by myself. I thought it'd be cool, and I was like, I'm gonna meet people on the boat, right? Ended up meeting people on the boat. That's where I ended up meeting the Turkish people that I became friends with. And we ended up going out that night on the island and having like the craziest party on the smallest island I've ever been on. I was like, what is this?
That
Like, these
sounds
clubs,
sick.
they were clubs on a beach. And I'm just like,
Wow.
looking around, there's strobe lights, there's loud music, like,
Yeah.
just penetrating my eardrums. I'm like, where am I? This is crazy. So yeah, things like that, you get caught in the moment. Like, it was just a spectacular,
Yeah.
just well-rounded experience. And at this point, I'm like a couple days away from my birthday, and the idea was to spend my birthday in the mountains, not in the islands. So it turns out those people that I met on that island were going to the mountains, like, that same day. I'm like,
Of course.
what?
What a quinky dink.
I know. I'm like, what's going on? So I check into my hotel. They check into their hotel. We kind of connect, and it was the day right before my birthday. I think we were just having like a chill night, like just dinner and stuff. And the next day we were planning on going to an elephant sanctuary. That was the day of my birthday. Like, I wanted to give back.
Yeah.
Because at first, when I didn't really know about tourism and how it can affect like animal cruelty and things like that, I went to Indonesia and I actually rode an elephant. And looking back, I'll never do that again. It's one of those things, like, they are trained hardcore to be able to do that, and they have a very stressed out life, just trying to make a living for other people, which isn't fair at all. And they get hit a lot by their handlers, and it was a unique experience, but I don't recommend it, and I don't really like I said, I don't ever want to do it again.
Yeah.
So this was going to be different, and it was going to be like playing with elephants in a sanctuary where they're not held in, you know, a stable or anything. They were literally in the jungle, and they are like very well behaved because they were like following their handlers, but they weren't getting hit. They weren't like being like malnourished or anything like that. So this was definitely like a better experience for me and a really good like birthday experience because I was like literally jumping in a river, bathing an elephant. Like it was super cool, and they're so gentle. Like once they're in, they're just in. They got their trunk like putting their water on their back. I just had like, well, first I had a bucket to like get the water on them, and then I had like a sponge.
I'm like imagining that scene of Tarzan. Where like they see that
like
these are full grown giant elephants or little baby ones.
They're pretty big, I'm not gonna lie, but they weren't as big as like.
Do you have to like constantly watch around for elephants that are around,
yeah.
or you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like you gotta watch your toes and stuff, you know. Like,
what an experience!
You don't want to lose a foot.
That's crazy.
No, I mean they for the most part they did their own thing. They were free to move about, but just watch where you step.
That's awesome.
They weren't gonna charge you or anything. I mean, there's always that chance, but they weren't charging. They weren't, you know, they weren't angry about anything. We were feeding them, like giving them more than enough food. They were happy.
What were you feeding
bathing them? I forgot. I think it was just like grain, like just a bucket of grain that you would like hold up, and they would like put it in their trunk and then just kind of put it in their mouth. So just cool experiences like that. And I mean, after that day was done, we decided to go to the bar and just kind of close out the night, like my birthday night, just with a couple of drinks, and like turned out to be more than a couple. But after that, I ended up splitting up with my Turkish friends, and I went to another place on my Thailand list, and it was Krabi. So that was another really unique beach, and just really cool. I was just kind of beach hopping at this point. Like I'm going from the mountains to the beach and all over. And then from there, I flew back to Bangkok just for a couple of hours because I had a layover, and off to the Philippines.
Wait.
That's all Thailand.
Wait.
Yeah, that was all Thailand.
Philippines is also in Thailand?
No, it's a
right
whole
next to
different
it.
thing.
It's right next to it.
So what made you go to Philippines?
It was just something I wanted to do, and it was so close. Like, why not? The flights
This was within that trip. Okay,
within the trip. Within the trip. So I thought it'd be a good idea. Flights were cheap, and I found like a really cool hostel out there.
When you go to all these different places, but they're all like kind of within the same area-ish.
I mean, yes and no.
Do you like feel kind of like you're in the same area, like that part of the world, or each island is a whole different experience?
It's a whole different.
It's literally a different country.
Yeah, Philippines is a very different country.
Literally,
I gotta get out.
The Philippines is they're the Hispanic Asians, is what I've heard.
The only thing I know about the Philippines is Manny Pacquiao.
Exactly.
That's it.
He's their hero.
It's
sure.
Freaking beautiful. Is another thing you can know about it.
I definitely need to go to the Philippines
Yeah, it was sick.
Yeah.
And the hostel I stayed at had like a lot of like tour accommodations and things like that. So every day was an adventure day. We were staying right on the beach. We would take a boat out to a couple different islands one day, and then all these islands are like pretty remote and uninhabitable. Like you're not seeing anyone that lives there. Like you're only going out for day trips. There's tons of them out there. So we literally did like 2 days of boat trips out, and then I think we did one day where the waves were rough, that we stayed on land, but we took like little mopeds into the jungle to go like chase waterfalls.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. There were like clubs in town that we would go to. Like we made a lot of friends. Our hostel was a lot of fun. So that was all for like about 5 days that I was doing all of that. And
the people there, like, they're native. How do they treat you? Like they can see you're American.
Honestly, I felt pretty comfortable there. The hostel I stayed at wasn't like filled with too many locals, so there was a lot of English speakers. I made a lot of Aussie friends there. I was actually traveling with a friend that met me from Florida at that point.
Cool.
So I was already kind of like with another person. So it was already like a lot more like friend oriented this part of the trip. So I mean,
and you rent cars and you drive around and you take boats.
There's the little taxis out there. They're called tuk tuks. So
okay.
I caught a tuk tuk from the airport to the hostel. That's really all I needed. That was big.
Is that like through an app, or how does that work?
No, they have to be there. This is like.
It's like wave them down, like, hey, I need a ride.
No cell signal, like nothing. They were actually waiting at the airport, like kind of expecting travelers to come in and kind of, pick them up and get ready to take them anywhere. So mine was just ready to go, and I told them my hostel. Obviously, they knew of it, took me right there, and I was a day late because I had overslept on my flight before.
Uh-oh.
So I told you I had a couple more, more drinks. So, yeah, I missed my flight.
Uh-oh.
Always a disaster.
Not good to miss a flight.
I hate morning flights.
Yeah,
I hate them, and I
terrible.
love them, but I hate them more.
Yeah.
So anyways, at this point, the Philippines is awesome. After 5 days of it, we went to do something completely different, and we actually went to Dubai first. We did 2 days in Dubai. And the friend that I was with had, like, just before the trip, met someone that lived in Dubai, and they kind of got into a conversation like, oh, I'll be there, like, in 2 weeks or whatever. And he basically opened up his apartment at the Burj Khalifa for us. Do you guys know that building?
That's the tallest
Yeah,
building in
of
the world.
course.
Indeed, it is.
Yeah.
Wow, what floor were you on?
I don't know, like 50 something.
Uh.
We had a good view.
We're on the 14th.
Yeah, we had a really good
wow.
view.
So it just happened. Like it just so happened that you ended up.
Just so
staying
happened,
there.
and
That's
he was
amazing.
staying there too. Just a super, super nice guy. Just invited us to be in a safe spot in
Who
Dubai.
knew him, or how did you?
She knew him,
Wow.
but really
power
with
of
like
connections.
with like not too much time in advance. Like it just kind of worked out. And she tells me this in the Philippines, and I'm like, are you sure? Like, we don't know this person. Like, I guess we could try it.
Yeah.
I hadn't booked any accommodations at that point, so I was like,
All right.
oh, actually, I think I booked a hostel that was like, I don't know. I don't want to, like, exaggerate, because Dubai is pretty pricey, and I'm not going to lie about that. I think it was, like, maybe 60 or 70 a night for a hostel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we just gave up on that and stayed at the Burj.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Might as
after
well.
2 days there,
Yeah.
he ended up leaving on our first day. So he left us in
In his apartment.
He trusted us enough to stay in his apartment, which we didn't do anything. And to
dream.
this day, I've actually gone back to that apartment when I went back to Dubai and visit my friends and
Yeah.
him.
Cool.
So it worked out kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that first day, we did an excursion of the desert, the Arabian desert, or the Arabian Nights.
Mhm.
You know that?
One of those things.
So we went out there, we rode some camels, we did some sandboarding, we actually enjoyed something called Arabian Nights, where they come out and start dancing, and just a really unique experience.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I went skydiving.
What a
Oof.
trip! Wow.
Yeah.
That video is
Great
crazy.
trip.
That you see the palm tree island thing. Like,
That was nuts.
That's
What?
a bucket list. For
That
sure.
was nuts.
If I was ever going to skydive, I would have to skydive in Dubai because I'm not a big skydiving guy. Like I don't
Uh-huh.
care for it. So I feel like if I'm ever going to, it has to be in Dubai.
Yeah.
Something
'Cause
like
that
that.
view is crazy.
It was out of control, and I mean, you could probably tell in the video that, like, I kind of knew how in awe I was.
Mhm.
I literally had a moment in the video where I was just like
Take it all in.
looking at everything. Like, finally I was able to catch my breath, because that initial, like, you jump out of the airplane and I hold my breath.
Okay.
You know, I'm like,
Damn.
you know, and then like 5 seconds, 6 seconds in, and you're like,
So
yeah.
you're free falling.
your story
that's the
is
view you
just
see.
amazing. So you got to basically, you spent a lot of time on the eastern side of the world, and you just took advantage of it. Like I love how you
Yeah.
were able to experience so much. Did you go to Egypt?
I did.
At any point?
did. Egypt was right after.
Did you
Egypt
go to
was right
Miami? Did you go back home and then Egypt, or you stayed in that area and then said, "Fuck it, I'm
Stayed in
going
that
to
area.
Egypt"?
And
Dubai to Egypt.
Yeah, and I think that's how I get away with, like,
What happened
my
there though?
country
Like
talk.
how and why? What made you want to
It was
go
just
to?
so close, and I was
Okay.
like, the pyramids are just something I have to see with
For
my
sure.
own eyes. Obviously, I want to
That's-
go
that's a
back and
bucket
see way
list
more
too,
of
yeah.
Egypt, but the pyramids was like just something I grew up seeing in history books in school, and in my mind, I'm like,
Did you go inside of it?
I did go inside of one of the tombs, and then I saw the Sphinx. And
Did you feel like some type of crazy energy in there? I've heard that you feel
Just
like vibrations and stuff.
I was just on such a high the whole time, because it was like one of those things you never really imagine yourself there until you're there.
Yeah.
You know, like you could think about it, you could dream about it, but when you're there looking up at the pyramids, like you start really realizing how crazy it is.
Is it
like
bigger,
how they get here?
Is it bigger than buildings or smaller than buildings?
In height, I'd say it's smaller than a lot, but it's also bigger than a lot. And when you think about it, like, where are they made?
Yeah, back then,
I know.
they didn't have cranes. They didn't have none of that.
How did that happen?
I love watching like just TV about that.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
How were they made? Why were they made? A lot of people say it's tombs, but then others say that it wasn't. A lot of people say that it's because of the sky and the astrology of the energy and the.
I'll tell you, super crazy
So many different things.
align with the pyramids that it blows my mind. Planets align with the pyramids.
Exactly. Yeah.
How?
It's crazy.
How did they figure that out?
Yeah.
It's interesting because back in the day, when you look up, you don't have city lights, so the amount of things that they must have seen up there must have been crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how they built it. That's interesting. Have you ever been to Paris?
I have. That was on a different trip though.
Where haven't you been? Where do you want to go? What's
There's
next?
still so many places. Something really, really high on my bucket list, which I want to do later this year, is New Zealand. That's gonna be like big time for me. And then I think this summer I'm gonna do a bit of a Europe trip. So I'm gonna do, excuse me, Switzerland, Scotland, Northern Italy. So I've done Italy, but never the north.
Have you done Rome?
I've done Rome.
Yeah, I love Rome. Rome was nice.
My step family on my dad's side is actually Italian, so like that was one of my first trips when I was little, and growing
Cuba
up.
must have won today or something.
Hey.
And then like growing up, I went back to Italy a few more times just to visit family, to visit the Colosseum, to visit just different areas of Italy. But I've like I said, I've never been to the north.
Yeah.
I've never seen those mountains.
So what's next for Kristen? Where's Kristen gonna be? Because the thing that we do in this podcast as well is like we bring people on, but then we want to bring them back in a couple months or a year later, like just to see like from the last time they were on, where have they gone, what have they been up to, what have they done. So when it comes to Kristen now and like Kristen in a couple months, where do you see yourself? What's the next trip? What's the plan? What's the vibe?
So right now, I'm kind of in a transition. I have officially left a job that I have to report to a boss. I've left the clock in, clock out, the comfort of a steady paycheck.
How long were you there? Like,
on and off, I was there for 6 years.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'm on and off. Like I traveled quite a bit, and then it kind of happened during COVID, where I lost the job because of the pandemic, and then I ended up going into a different industry completely, and then found my way back because they would take me as a part-timer, and I have my businesses on the side. I'm a full-time real estate agent here in Florida, and I also I have a love of photography that I know can be a business. I am just struggling. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now. So in a couple months, please ask me.
Struggling like the business of photography, or struggling with
to monetize.
Exactly, to monetize it and really just how to like make it so I'm happy doing it.
Yeah.
So it's not something that like I'm dreading in the morning. It's something that like I'm happy to create. And I'm starting to get into videography a little bit more. Photography is a skill that I'm just fine-tuning these days.
I think you're going to be great because from what I've seen, like up until now, I thought you were already in photography. I thought you were already in videography, like from what I see.
No,
so the fact that you
skill that I'd like to be, that's for sure.
Yeah, so no, it's going to be exciting watching you grow into that because I feel like you're already ahead of the game.
Yeah.
You're ahead of the game for most people.
Would you say your goal is to turn your Instagram into your full-time traveling gig, like job?
I would like to, but it's more than Instagram. Like Instagram is a good platform to get it out there, but the idea is to start working for brands that, you know, can really benefit from photos and videos, or, you know, just tourism companies that could really benefit from my experience, or me sharing my experience with my followers. So that's where the business is going to kind of come through, and I already have a couple things in play. Like I know a lot of people have been interested in my travel guides and like travel itineraries. So that's something that I'm working on, and that's something that I'm going to put out in the near future. And just kind of staying consistent is something that I have been struggling with in the past. Now that I have so much time to really nurture these two businesses, I'm gonna just really like take it seriously, and I'm gonna go full throttle, and I'm gonna try to do what I've always wanted to do, and that's be my own boss, and it's travel the world, and it's combine these two industries that I absolutely love, which is real estate and tourism, just kind of make them something that I can live off of while doing the things that I love.
Well, I respect that, and that's why you're here, the Miami Hustle. You gotta be your own boss. You gotta hustle. I mean, you're out here just traveling the world, but I love the fact that you're not only traveling the world, but you're still in touch with your that side of the hustle where like it's nice to travel, but I want to make a living out of this. I don't want to just travel like on my time off. So that's gonna be fun. Are you still in contact with your friend from LA? Because I feel like she might be able to have some type of connections within that industry with photography, videography.
Actually, she actually lives here now. So
oh, cool. Did she move here recently from LA, or was that something that?
Within the last 2 years, I want to say. So she's doing her thing, and I
Is
have
she still in
mad
acting?
respect for it. Yeah, she's actually acting and a singer now.
Oh, nice.
So she's doing really, really big stuff.
We got to get her on the pod.
Yeah, there you go. Like, her lifestyle is just completely different, and my whole thing, like, I love a good opportunity, and I love having connections, but this is something that I really want to try out on my own. Like, I know the photography and videography part is important, and it's nice to have somebody, like, well-rounded in that skill, but I really like.
Well, I was thinking more, not even her with the skill. I was thinking more her with the connections, because I'm sure that people involved in content creation are gonna need photographers and videographers, you know, behind the scenes, capturing all the moments, which is what I thought you had. Because again, like you do a great job. So
tripods do great things.
Hey. I feel you. Look, shout out all the tripods here. That's how we do it.
Yeah, that's just how I've been doing it, and maybe I'm just like on a smaller scale, but I feel like as I get bigger and bigger, and if things like trickle into what I think that they can, then I can start building a team and say like, okay, I definitely need like somebody to just play photographer on this trip, even if they're not like great at it, just having another set of hands, just to do like, you know, maybe a maneuver that my tripod can't do, or something that I know I want but like it's tough to do on my own. Like, those are things that are really helpful, but for the most part I'm still working my way up, you know, and I'm not at a place where I could say I can invite people into this journey. I don't think I'm there just yet, but I'm definitely on my way.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Definitely on my way.
And I mean, we are coming up on time, but that's why you're here, because you're on your way. Like, that's what it's about. We're all on our way, and we're all trying to figure it out. And as we go, we're just gonna come back here to the Miami Hustle and chill and just talk our shit and see what's up with life.
I can't
wait to hear more from
I can't wait to see what happens.
Oh,
in the
you're
next
gonna
couple
be
months.
you're gonna be one of the favorites when it comes to guests, because your stories and your experiences are something that it's almost unbelievable when you tell someone like how many countries you've been to and how many states in America you've been to. Just that alone is just, it's amazing. Like, it's not every day that you find someone
everybody gets to do it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Those experiences are they're just invaluable. It's what everyone wants to do. That's why we work so hard. It's to go travel, I feel like.
It really is. And this is like you said, maybe it's a cheat code, but this is the only life I know and the only life I want to continue pursuing. And there will be a day where I find, you know, a spot to settle and have a family, and who knows what life will look like then. I'm not even like thinking that far ahead, but that is an idea that I have, and I would like for that to happen. And thinking about all of that makes me even more just grateful that I got to do this so early on in my life, because
100%.
I don't want to say that I missed out on anything.
No, yeah, I think
don't wanna
anything that
have
you're
that
going to do
moment.
from here on out is going to be based on 100% passion, because you've done so much already that you can just focus on yourself now. Because a lot of people, they do the opposite. They're like, they focus on themselves so much that they're like anxious to go somewhere and they want to travel and they want to do this, but they can't, and they just don't. So I respect that. I feel like everyone does. And if anyone wants to know where to go, just ask Kristen.
Yeah.
She's gonna help you out. She's gonna tell you where to go.
For real.
There you go.
The
Look out for
bars,
those
the
travel
bars, the
itineraries.
beaches, the islands, the
Yeah.
mountains, the everything.
That's it. That's it.
Where can people find you? Instagram,
Well-
a website. What do you got?
You can't find me physically, but you can
It's
find
like
me.
Waldo. Is that why you wanted the
For
red
real.
shirt?
Kind of. So you can find me on Where is Kristen on Instagram, and I will have my website launching very soon. That'll have a lot of my travel photography being launched because I am looking to sell my prints. So stuff like that is in the works and definitely coming soon. Right now, I'm just kind of focusing on just delivering that valuable content. So a lot of new content is going to be posted on my social media platform. A YouTube channel is going to come up soon, and my videos hopefully will be a lot more fine-tuned. But that's what I have right now. Instagram is where it's at.
Hey,
Nice. That's
Awesome.
awesome. Well, thank you again for your time.
Guys, thank you so much. This is
anytime.
awesome.
Really cool.
This is
Anytime.
the
You're
easiest
definitely gonna be
conversation
back.
I've ever had.
I mean, we're all
That's what we
friends.
try
It's
to do.
easy. Yeah, we just sit here and talk.
Yeah.
Just press play.
Yeah. Made it
But
nice
yeah,
and
no,
easy.
we're gonna be excited for you to come back and just see where you've gone, and we're all gonna be watching. So we
Good,
hope
same here.
we are wishing you best things. We hope for the best, and
you.
until next time.